Welcome back, Epic Leaguers. It's been a couple of days off, and we are here with Div 1. More Dota 2 to carry you away on this beautiful... What day of the week is it, gentlemen? Is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday? It's Thursday. It's beautiful.
Sunday.
It's the weekend. It depends where you are in the world to know what day it is. The weekend is coming up, and we got a lot of Dota 2 on the horizon. Boys, welcome back. LacosteDota, are you guys feeling fresh? Are you ready for more Tier 1 Dotes?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the pause was too long. Like, I just want to have the rolling schedule. Let's get this done. I was seeing more Dota in short period of time. But, I guess teams just needed a rest. We also needed some time for Division 2 to play. So,
yeah, Tiga needed some time to study up.
Yeah, I've been looking at the Div 2 games a bit, and it's always a bit weird dipping between Div 1 and Div 2, because Div 1, it's that kind of the beauty of excellence, and then you jump to Div 2, and it's just like, wow, this is just the Wild West. What's happening around here? And it's great, but no, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I guess on the note of Div 2, we should maybe make mention that 5 men have disbanded. Shout out to Tigo for tweeting that yesterday. When you tweeted that, by the way, I legit thought that was just a bad joke. I thought that was some sort of like dumb, like UK version of April Fool's Day that I wasn't aware of, because I just couldn't imagine that team falling apart in the middle of a group stage. But they're done. They default lost on all their matches, and we've now got 9 teams left in Div 2.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the lads, but it's just one of those things where you think that you have the right mindset, and then once you start getting into it, you realize that everyone's not really subscribed to kind of the same idea. And yeah, I think best for the players to kind of part ways when that kind of came into play. And of course, like sticking it out, that would be the correct thing to do for like the tournament and kind of respectful thing. But again, they just weren't in that position to want to continue. So yeah, it's healthy for the players for sure. But again, it's unfortunate that slot has now been kind of lost for the qualified teams.
Well, and I also get it because as a player-run org, like, you don't really know what the future is going to be like. So you kind of have to accept every invitation, even if things are a little shaky or a little rocky. You might work through it, you might not, but you have to take that chance. So
and that's the key thing that people aren't really aware of, right? It's like this wasn't something that just happened like a month ago, right? And it's like, oh, okay, let's play one game and leave, right? It's the realization that, all right, this just isn't working. Like, we aren't really turning up to want to practice and stuff. So yeah, just yeah, the difference between it is difficult. But again, it's unfortunate. It does happen, but you have to look towards the future, and hopefully the guys best wishes.
Well, on to Div 1. Today, we've got 3 more best of 3s. First up, Virtus Pro versus 404, Just Error. Then we've got Viking GG versus Mud Golems. That should be a big one. And then final series today, Enigma versus Alliance. Will Nico Baby be able to do it again? We're going to find out towards the end of today. But to get things started, VP Just Error, this should be a good one.
Oh, for sure. You have Solo playing against his former organization. In the interview, he said, the team atmosphere is great. We play, we communicate, find the direction in which we want to play. We don't prepare any surprises. The regulars, every day we play and understand meta better, feeling good. And on the other side, you have Epileptic Kid who said, I won't say for everyone, but for me personally, it will be a regular Dota game. So no, I don't feel any responsibility. The team has a great vibe. We already know each other well, and everyone's just, comfortable playing together. So pretty chill in both of these squads, I would say. But I think there's much more for the new Virtus Pro squad, to prove that, they are the team that deserves to be called Virtus Pro. On the other side, you have Solo, who had, 4 years playing for Virtus Pro, getting a lot of those grand finals, dominating the scene for quite a long time.
Yeah. VP as an org, hungry for a big result. We saw them in Omega League. It was that older roster that Solo was still on, and they didn't place particularly well in that event. They ended up getting eliminated by Liquid in the lower bracket round 1. So this would be a big event for Virtus Pro. A lot to prove, like you said. Tiga, have any expectations coming into this series? Who do you value as the favorite coming into this one?
Well, I think I value Virtus Pro as the favorite, just because when you look at their track record, they as a team, they didn't really appear in a lot of tournaments over the last months, mainly because of that shift to online play, and obviously tournament organizers weren't allowing teams, 2 teams from the same organization. Yeah. And then of course, VP would always go for the big team, right? The VP, that was the solo squad. So we saw this prodigy lineup not really get kind of the screen time that they would deserve. Really, they were a team that was playing equally up to Secret. Of course, they weren't able to pick them in the grand final. That was when Secret was in their main dominance. But I think just on pure track record and the kind of hunger, I think the new VP is clearly there. And you kind of can play on the interview that Sumo had as well, which is they're a stack that kind of just playing for fun, so to speak, and they don't know what the future holds. And then you compare that to a newly picked up main VP roster. I think, again, that the hunger will be on both teams, but I do favor VP a lot.
Lacoste, do you concur here, or are you more leaning on 404? Or are you flipping coins on this one?
I think Virtus Pro, the main squad right now, that they are very dominant and stable team, where they know what everyone needs to do in the game. They have expectations. I think the future is very bright for the guys. On the other side, this is a stack. This is not a team you have some big names, but they could also end up, just disbanding in 2 weeks if things are not going well. But for Virtus Pro, I feel this is a stable squad that's just gonna stay together and keep grinding and can great results in the future.
Right, Lacoste, you can word it better. You can just say they will kick Sumo. All right, that's basically.
All right.
I think everyone knows that if this doesn't work out, Sumo's first on the block, unfortunately.
Because of the ping, Sumo is gonna get kicked.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
That is literally it. Yeah.
But guys, he's been waking up early. He's been showing up for interviews. He's the first in the lobby. Are you telling me that those brownie points don't matter? It's all about, he can't deny creeps in lane though because of the ping. So get this kid the fuck out of here.
We can't pick the ranged heroes, He said it himself. I picked the ranged. I don't deny I played a mid game.
Mid with ranged heroes. We can't have this kid on our lineup. It's just not going to work.
Oh my! That's why he plays so much Pugna, because you just decrypt and then you don't have to fight for the. Oh my!
It's genius. That is the big brain play. Teams, ban that Pugna. Get it the hell out of here. That's the only thing Sumail can handle denying mid. It is something to keep in mind, though. Memes aside, 130, 140 ping in the mid lane, it really is significant. I appreciate Sumail for being honest with us and, hitting us with the yeah, I'm not playing Drow mid, guys. I don't expect to see that one. It's not coming out anytime soon.
I mean,
I think we do have a draft coming, by the way.
yeah, when we talk about the ping, you know, people, it's always like an excuse. They lost, he has a big ping. But for me personally, like if I have like 35 ping and if I have 60 ping, like I can clearly see the difference. I can only imagine what it's like, you know, to play on 140 ping. It's just, you know, too much. But we got to give him credit, you know, just for
Well, you can experience this, Lacoste. Just queue up a few pubs on US West, you know.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Just being in EU, playing EU pubs. Like I experienced in the past couple of NA pubs, and you know,
yeah, it's a combination, right?
Yeah, it's just you get kind of tired of it real quick.
Yeah, my go-to if I'm playing like I have a couple friends in Southeast Asia, and occasionally I'll queue with them. I play Ogre. Ogre's my go-to. It's like you're throwing stuns, you're throwing bloodlust. You don't feel the ping that bad playing a position 5 Ogre. That's my little tip
about
for
quick
it.
cast?
I'm not a quick cast kind of guy, but that's a good idea. That's a good way to win the ping battle. I like that.
There we go.
All right, so there it is. We do have a draft underway. Just Error was the first Lena ban into an undying ban from VP. Quick reminder, we've only seen VP in one series this group stage. It was actually the very first series that opened the groups. They went 2-0 against OG pretty convincingly. OG didn't look great in that series. It was 2 30-minute games, and both games, VP picked Magnus, Void, and Enchantress. So clearly prioritizing that heavy team fight.
Yeah, it's just one of those series where OG doesn't want to ban out like the key hero on VP, and they want to play into it. I think it happened against Secret as well when they tried picking Huskar twice in a row, the same style. But no, I think I love this just the respect that Just Error show, which is it is the Void, which was the key component. Even if you look back when VP played on the Prodigy, it was always the Void and the Magnus were the 2 top heroes. So.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. This
All right.
Definitely not the hero that I expected. This draft
That's
going
speed
so
running.
quickly, you know. They have 2 strength heroes. We're just going to pick Timbersaw against that. But, you know, Omni Knight, definitely not the hero that I expected. Like, we saw one Omni Knight in the last week. I'm not sure who picked it. Mud Golems? Okay.
Fata, yeah.
Yeah, and we had, what did we have? Like, we had Team Secret playing that hero like 2-3 months ago, I think during a Mega League, and that's pretty much it. And now he's first phased, so I'm really surprised to see what they're going to do with it.
Mud Golems played this Game 3 versus Error on day 1. And they had a Sven, Viper, Earth Spirit, Omni Knight, Ember Spirit lineup. And they did win that game against Error. Interesting. So now Error, they've learned a thing or two. They're like, yo, I think I want to play the Omni Knight.
Get me a bit of this Omni in. And yeah, it's like a hero that we don't really see too much. I think if you want to look more towards reasoning why it might be picked up more, it's just because these early fights, you have to think about, okay, how are we stopping this Omni from enabling that one core? And it is very much about pushing forward. So yeah, I don't mind the idea of it coming into play, but we have to look towards this Timbersaw, and it is automatically, you know, on paper a good Timbersaw game just because of the 2 strength, especially if it's a position 5 Omni with the Sven. You're not going to stop this guy.
Could it be a position 3 Omni? Is there any chance this is for no one?
Potentially, for sure. 100%.
Okay.
I want to see for Virtus Pro something with this spell. Like, the Omni Knight's one of the best, you know, team fighting heroes in the game. It's hard to execute, and like having GA is like just winning you a team fight. So I want to see either Oracle or Enchantress being picked up by Virtus Pro.
I like that. Dispel, very handy. They do grab the Juggernaut though. Weird. Okay. Isn't Jug generally like pretty bad against Omni for everything you just mentioned, Lacoste? Like GA, pretty good counter against Omni Slash.
Yeah, he is. I mean, Lifestealer's banned, definitely a hero that I would expect, you know, to be picked up against Sven. Sven has this timing where he just feels like the strongest hero in the game, but once Lifestealer gets like 3rd, 4th item, it's just a better matchup for a Lifestealer, and another save for Just Error, Shadow Demon.
Okay.
This is a good counter, you know, to Juggernaut, where you have a save during the Omni Slash, you have a damage, you have the Soul Catcher against the Timbersaw, something that he doesn't like to play into.
So, wow, these picks are really fast. Now, Punk for Just Error. Why Crystal Maiden over Enchantress? That is my burning question right now, because I agree about Enchantress versus Omni. Having any Dispel is good. I also like Ench. I'm surprised to see CM.
But look towards less of the lane and more about the idea of what VP is drafting. They've got a Timbersaw that should be having a good lane no matter where he goes.
Yep.
And it's all about this desire to constantly look for fights. If you're running into Omni's Knight support, you like to play a little bit slower. And for these kind of big, like objective-based fights, so Crystal Maiden with the aura, it does give Timbersaw, it gives Tiny this ability to stay in lane and just non-stop kind of exist.
Yeah, the thing about it is they just might try lane, you know. Tiny, he gets level 2 with the Timbersaw, leaves him solo XP, and then they run aggressive try lane. And the Tiny, I mean, one of the reasons why they picked Puck is because he can, you know, dodge Tiny's ganks, because they know Tiny will be that guy moving around the map trying to make stuff happen. So I think it's a good idea coming up from Just Error. I'm a bit afraid of you know, this Juggernaut, how much of a game he's gonna have. Like, Sven,
and isn't Puck just another tool against Jug? So now that he can't just spin TP like anywhere he wants to, you got to worry about Coil.
There are 4 heroes that like playing against Juggernaut right now on Just Error's side, just to make sure that's very clear. But they are also 4 heroes that don't like playing into an early Juggernaut if it's around the right team.
Yeah, but these heroes, like in the mid game, Juggernaut does not have a clear target to use Omni Slash on. This is what I'm afraid of. Like, Sven's just gonna pop a Warcry for the team, buff him up with the armor. Shadow Demon has a save, Puck with the phase shift. So they think it's an offlaner that they need, and I believe that's Lashrak for the king, right?
Yeah, most likely.
I think so.
Puck
so is it offlane
possibly?
Puck, and then it is that 5 Omni. Okay.
I love when teams, you know, Jug is a very strong laner, and you want to have a hero that, you know, can pressure Juggernaut, but also that you can't die to him.
Viper.
No one's ever happy to see the Viper. So it's offlane Puck. Yeah. Okay, cool. Position 5 Omni.
It's an interesting Viper pick. I wouldn't say it's like an obvious Viper game. You know, there isn't like a great break counter. You know, it's not the Viper versus Spectre, but still seems pretty solid here. They needed somebody to just plant in the team fight.
But it's all about that clump that they're going to look towards. They're going to be able to group up together, pressure. They can take towers with Juggernaut. They can take Roshan. And we spoke a lot about how it's a hard Jug game, but I still think the objective timings that Jug provides will still be present, and he'll rely on his team to really output the damage, and he himself will be annoying to deal with because, again, it's a Juggernaut. He might not have Omni Slash damage, but the healing ward's going to be insane value to keep that Viper alive. And Just Error, their early damage, where is it? Like, they don't actually have this big explosive damage. They need a lot of time.
I don't know. Lesh and Puck, they've got some explosive damage, but I definitely see where you're going with that weakness. Lacoste, thoughts on these drafts here before we hand it over?
I'm gonna lean towards Virtus Pro. I think they can play extremely fast with the Crystal Maiden, you know, just providing aura for Tiny and Timbersaw, something they really need. Same goes for Viper. And even though it's not a best Juggernaut game, I feel like they can play fast enough and just roll over Just Error.
Gotcha. All right. Well, folks, remember, you can find the odds for the winning teams from our partner EGB by clicking the banner below the stream. Get at it, folks. We've got a lot of Dota coming up today, and now we've got 2 beautiful casters to take it away. Killer Pigeon, Pycat, how we doing over there? You ready for some big dose?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Zari. You called us pretty, Pycat. I mean, I don't think it's as pretty as the particle effects that's going to be coming out of 404's draft this game, because what a difference! We're seeing Omni Knight again, a hero that we barely get to ever see anymore.
Sorry, yeah, okay. I've been seeing a bit of this hero actually. It feels like it's a bit on the rise, maybe in pubs and stuff. Especially kind of this the Sven Omni Knight combo. Obviously, the additional strength plus the Heavenly Grace is very beneficial kind of for Sven. Get more damage, and you become even harder to deal with, you know, especially once you reach this axe.
You might wish to retract.
Yeah, it also seemed like it was just bound to start to crop up again with the resurgence of Lashrak, right? That's always been one of those classic combos. You put the Lesh and the Omni together, because what's the downside of the Lesh is usually you're this kind of magical glass cannon.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's nice synergy between a lot of the heroes on the 404 draft here. At the same time, I kind of like VP here. They've got something. It's a very quick draft. I think something that's kind of nice to see about these teams is that, you know, the drafts are generally quite cohesive. It just makes the Dota more fun to watch.
Yeah, the way you just when the best Dota is when we see the teams focus on how they can maximize their own draft instead of getting obsessed in, oh, we're gonna counterpick this hero, we're gonna match up better on that lane. It's instead look at how these teams come together, because like 404, they've got these good saves, they've got these kind of strong resets in terms of stopping damage, and then BP, I like how with the Viper and the Juggernaut, they've kind of gone for their own attritional warfare, where like, okay, you're trying to tick us down over time, but we can match that. We've got a Viper, we've got this healing ward, we've got this Timber Sword.
Yeah, I also like the fact that we've got like so many interesting matchups here. We've got, you know, Epileptic Kid who used to play with these VP guys together. You know, down there they're playing against him. There's GPK and Sumail, both former EG mid laners. There's you know, there's Sumail versus GPK. There's, I don't know, it's just a lot of interesting matchups here. You know, between these players, it's fun to see. You know, Solo Rams is back at it with their safe lane, as if nothing ever happened. You know, it's good to see.
Yeah, I love that you raise that. It's kind of something we sometimes forget, because the players, like over the years, have shifted around. At this point, it feels like almost every player has played every other player, at least if you're in mid-20s or above.
Yeah, no, pretty exactly. And something we were talking a bit about this Timber, like against these melee heroes, right? Like you see this Omni Knight, he's just going first spell, he goes Heavenly Grace, and when you do this, you don't really have to care that much about this Whirling Death. You know, it's gonna be removed pretty quickly. The whatchamacallit, the status resist. It removes the spell quite quickly. So
yeah, also you can dispel it, right? Because it comes with a strong dispel on cast. So overall, Timber shouldn't be the most worrisome of people. Solo definitely no stranger to Omni Knight. I'd say he was like one of the more memorable Boss 5 Omni Knight players over the years.
Yeah, something that might be a bit worrisome though is this mid lane. It's a very I think difficult lane kind of for Shrek. Initially, you know, Viper's very strong with this poison attack. Sumail off to not an amazing start here just right away. Of course, GPK kind of dominating the early levels. It might even out a little bit as we go further, but a pretty rough start for Sumail so far.
Yeah, it's, like GPK, it's a bit surprising. Most people would have expected the Corrosive spin, right? Because you're up against all this magical damage. But I guess against the Shrag, I mean, he's a glass cannon, so if you just keep whittling away with the poison attacks, he can never trade effective.
I think the whole idea, I mean, I'm not really, you know, I'm not a mid laner at the level these guys are, but from what I understand, it's you nether tox in the first wave, and you kind of push the wave, and you get to your level 2, you start kind of harassing the Lesh. And also now with the CM on his team, you know, he can continuously spam both nether toxin and the poison attack. So
he has finally got 1 point Corrosive skin. I guess like just for the 1 point, it's pretty high value, right? Because it just makes sure Sumail can never trade.
Yeah, it's just for the slow and the magic resist and everything. And you see GPK, he's really bullying Sumail here. Every chance he gets, he just keeps the poison attacks going, and Sumail is struggling to get to his bottle. He's somewhat low on mana, so it's gotta be a little bit rough for him to get to this. The other lane's kind of quiet, and yeah, saved here in the mid lane.
Yep. Good rotation. Avalanche toss into the Nether Toxin, and it looks like the first blood is going to go the way of GPK.
I actually think it was not the worst thing that could happen for Sumail. Of course, you know, his lane, it's looking very rough already. You know, he's already down about 1,000 gold to the Viper, but he gets to, even now with this courier, he's gonna get to his bottle. And he'll come back, and you know, eventually he'll start farming the jungle. But the VP are doing a really good job so far at kind of controlling these lanes.
Yeah, it's almost like Zaz just sitting there, he's like, well, I died for that on purpose, because if he didn't get that Courier snipe, Sumail would have been a little bit short on the gold, so he would have to have waited around or sell the Fairy Fire.
Yeah, and Sumail, they're very conscious decision. He decides to just deny the Radiant Rune. He understands that if he goes for it, Savis is going to come in and kill him. GPK now with the boots keeps just going at this Viper, at this Leshrac. It's a very difficult position for Sumail to be in here.
Well, I was just going to say we're seeing a different build of the Viper as well, right? Because we keep seeing these boots of travel Vipers all the time, but it looks like GPK is a bigger fan of the trends.
Yeah, I'm personally not a really big fan of these boots of travel. I feel like it's a very greedy item. It's a 2,000 gold investment into nothing, basically. I mean, of course, you get a lower cooldown, but I think I much prefer this. It just gives you a stronger early timing, which lets you kind of bully your enemy team. And Save is being a very big nuisance for Sumail here. I think Sumail kind of needs some sort of backup in terms of, you know, sending solo there, which is gonna make Ramses' life a little bit more difficult. You could potentially say put the SD there, but you gotta help out this Leshrac a little bit somehow, because I mean, he's having such a rough start.
Yeah, it makes you wonder where it's going to happen. It's so fast Save. It's not just the mid lanes, like the bot lanes we just saw. He snipes out the support so easily. It's just back and forth. It feels like VP's cores are all self-sustained at this point, right? Like the Jug is past the hard point lane, hits a Tinto on the top, and this Viper's out of control. In on the mid lane, Sumail in trouble, is going to fall. Save rotates in with the Avalanche cross combo.
Yeah, they keep just making these rotations. You know, even the CM there, they're just making his life incredibly miserable.
Yeah, and of course, you know, Save's always going to have mana as well because he has that CM, right? So you just got these tranks, and it's never. It doesn't feel like the times where we see Tiny has to chill, buy some extra clarities. He hasn't got the mana. He's almost always going to be up and ready to kill someone.
And the GPK, I think he actually went for the bottle instead of these treads here. By the looks of things.
Yeah, well, GPK already had the bottle. It was just a matter
okay.
to change my what it was next. Stun coming out, the rotation, Viper is going to fall here. They will find solo in response, but it's after the fact. Much needed kill for now.
Yeah, for sure. It's unfortunate that he doesn't really get the kill there. And I'm curious about this 211 gold only for the Shadow Demon. I feel like it should be a lot more, but that is the game we're in right now. But I'm just curious what happened to GPK's. I thought he had already treads. Maybe he invested into one and something else. He just had a lot of gold for the treads. And...
Yeah, I think it was the one. Nice kill on Puck Spotlight because when the regen room was there and Sumail denied it, that was when GPK was down to one bot. So I assume he stopped off for the one, but he's now going for the ATOS, so he's just kind of fully fixated on how can I keep people in this Nether toxic. Because I guess you could say VP. Not all their heroes have great tools for keeping people still in fight.
No, they're a little bit light on stuns, and so the ATOS makes sense. Just adding an additional kind of cancellation for the ports, just making it a little bit more tanky, some added mana. Oh, just
one. Like, he just got back. That was 5 seconds in and then just gone.
Yeah, VP they're putting on a lot of pressure in this early game. I think I want to say that VP is 404, but obviously they're not. They're the old VP, are most of them. They're 404. They're gonna rely quite a bit on this Sven having a good time. Also, you see this very big Ancient stack, which is already spotted by this Radiant ward near the Dire Ancient camp. And Epikid is, I mean, he's having an incredible start here.
Ramses has felt quite quiet, but that's because he's been you know, getting ready to farm, like you said, already up to 55 CS. So that's the one thing that's going well for 404, because you know, their name is kind of ironic, because so far in this game, their direction hasn't been found. It's all VP, but as you say, if you get some gold in that Sven, maybe there's a comeback with the sixes and one item on Sven.
Yeah, and both Sumail and No One are having not the most fun games.
It's a bit worrying from the strat perspective as well, right? Because it's the type of hero that usually, you know, level 1, 2 suffers a bit, but then tends to get a lot of gold and tends to kind of be that tempo setter out of the mid.
DM here putting on some pressure onto Solo. The Heavenly Grace is gone soon.
Uh-oh. Sumail tossed into the waiting arms of GPK, and he welcomes the gift that's been sent his way by his support. They'll find more. Zayat slowly but surely going to be ran down, and you just hear the gold strength in the distance. So it's only the one thing.
It's scary though. I mean, if they were to rotate here, he could be in a lot of trouble. Looks like Ilias is going over here.
No. He wasn't sure. Look at where the wood is. They didn't quite have vision of what Ramses was doing there as he pulled to the right.
Yeah, one Nova there could have been pretty much the end of Ramses. As Solo might be in trouble here.
Nope.
Doesn't have a port.
I mean, I think for them, they're happy with that trade, right? That's a level 5 Omniite for a level 6 CM, and you did get your hands on the Ancients. So all things considered for 404, they'll take that.
I mean, yeah, I think you can't ask for that much right now. You look at the way the game, the current situation is. It's very difficult for 404. The weakness of their draft, I think, a lot comes from these two supports. Omni Knight and Shadow Demon together. It's not the strongest early game duo of they don't really offer it a lot in terms of kind of rotations on the map. ST does to some extent, but he needs his team already to have a decent time before he can actually rotate on heroes. And Omni Knight, he's just a very passive hero.
Yeah, it definitely feels like these XP greedy support. So when you think of the core perspective, Lestrak and Sven, like they can do some things on their lanes. Of course, the part when you're with a Shadow Demon, like what was your kill threat? How do you ever friend this Jugger in the early phase of this game?
Yeah, with that said, I think that the timing for the draft is not. It's not very early. Their draft comes online a bit later on. They need some items on Sven. They need some levels on Omni Knight, and when Puck gets a Blink Dagger, they are gonna be having some decent timings. The question is just how far ahead will VP be at that point, and will they be able to kind of suppress their momentum and VP just keep their own momentum going?
Yeah, because I think it'd be fair to say that VP's kind of on the clock in terms of how their draft functions, right? Like this Viper, he can bully through that mid game, but this Timber, like we said, he won't feel that great in this game. It's Omni Knight, and also the Jug won't feel that great with Omni Slash because of the support combo we mentioned earlier, the Omni Knight Shadow Demon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as the game goes on, if we're going into 40 minutes, the game should be quite difficult for VP, but the question is if we're gonna get that far.
Team Sumail was delivering himself to the glue factory there as he walked into Epileptic Kid, who did not hesitate to throw out the Omni Slash. That's the false sense of security when you have a haste rune in a bottle, I guess.
Yeah, Sumail, he's playing from the States, right? He should be on some ping disadvantage.
Yeah, I think that was confirmed. Like, it's at least around 120, 150 MS, I think.
Yeah, and I think that...
Ben,
Ilias
gonna go for this.
He just goes down immediately.
I don't
Ramses
think
might be in trouble, though.
Yeah, they might be able to get him now, but there's gonna be a God Angel. They're throwing everything.
Grace is gonna help him out quite a bit here.
I don't know if it's gonna help enough though. Ramsey's being brought low. Dream Cool turnaround's gonna be there though. Tiny willed low. DM down to half HP as well. He'll also be the next target. As they counterattack and strike hard, they take down 3 members of VP.
Yeah, now you can see I mean, they have some very strong team fight on 404 once they all kind of bundle up. I mean, some slight overextension there by VP, but the team fight is no joke from 404. No one here might be in trouble.
He can't dodge all this.
Yeah.
He got a little bit cocky. He thought maybe Wayne Rift will get me up to the high ground, but those slows overwhelmed him.
Yeah, but about the ping for Sumail, this matchup, a hero especially like Leshrac, I think is very difficult to play on this ping. You need to hit your split earth. It's a very finicky hero. You need to. It's very dainty, sort of. It's difficult to play already without the ping, and so.
I mean, a lot of popular
ping.
mids right now are, right? Like, what is the easiest mid we can think of to pick him from a ping perspective? Because I don't think Wraith King mid is much of a
Viper.
Oh, well that's good. Oh, the other team got it. Crap. By the way, I like this different approach with GPK because we kept talking about those boost travels earlier, right? It seems like Vipers get it for the mobility factor. He's like, okay, I know I'm slow. How about a Blink Dagger?
No, I think it's a very nice choice. I mean, Viper is a hero that's heavily lacking in mobility, and getting the blink allows you to position yourself much better. But you don't really want to relegate Sumail into this Viper, You have Sumail, you want to see him play these types of heroes, right?
Yeah. Just want to see him pop off. Like, STPK, he's going to murder people one by one, but I think if Sumail gets in control of this game, we'll be able to run into this ball of heroes right now and melt them all. Sadly, that's not the case at the moment, though, as Solo gets picked off. Another option.
Yeah, still, Ramses keeps having, a good game. He hasn't died yet. He's, I think he's quite close to the Juggernaut in net worth.
Yeah, he's keeping track, and Jug, he is going for this Battle Fury, though, so there is going to be a moment where maybe Jug, at this rate, can pull forward because he's getting all these kills as well.
Yeah, it's just the Juggernaut game can be a little bit difficult in this one, right? You're against the Shadow Demon and you are against Sven and Omni Knight, so it is not the most amazing Juggernaut game. As it goes on, you're gonna need some sort of nullifier abyssal type to Ags potentially, you know, to be able to dish out the damage.
Yeah, and that also then comes back to what we were talking about earlier, where VP, the reason you got this Atos and this Viper is because the lockdown is fairly limited. So far, Save has been delivering, but he has to keep doing that. He's the only real means with which they can send a parcel into the arms of their big cats.
And GPK, he's switching it up now. He's going for the BKB instead.
Okay.
Just choosing to be more of a beefy boy here. Sumail
Oh.
is gonna get the port out.
He looked the wrong way. Closer than Sumail maybe realized. I mean, that's a 50-50 there. If he goes the other way, he's going to see it.
The Ramsey's up top. Could very well be in trouble here.
He's got no way out. DP won't work here. Save arrives to ensure that's the case. They pick off what looks like a fairly easy spend. There's no rebuttal elsewhere, right? Like this comes back to what we were saying about 404's later timing. Is that when a pick off like that happens, if you're not 5, like how do you punish VP elsewhere?
Yeah, and that's the scary part is when they actually lose this Sven. You know, that's sort of the key point for this draft. That's the hero that's gonna carry you through this game. Exactly like you said, there is no counterplay at this point. They don't really have the damage necessary to kill a lot of these heroes without their Sven.
As you can see, they just shift around as a group. That's the other thing. When Sven is dead, it's not just they can't counterplay. You see that they herd together, right? Like you can sense the fear that's there for 404 of how easy it is for VP to find any individual pickups.
Yeah. It's just sad, you know, to see the king on ping. It's just.
Hey, he's got an excuse, okay? It is a hard lane to win in the first place, though, right? Viper versus Illustrat. And GPK is not exactly the biggest pushover when it comes to his mid performances, as we've been seeing time and time again.
No, GPK kind of the, you know, like one of these newer up and coming mids, you know, Sumail once used to be in his
New
glory
Sumail
days.
versus old. Oh wait, who do we say is old Sumail before Sumail? Like loads of people always thought Arteezy, but like from a did you think Arteezy?
I mean, Arteezy and Sumail they're completely different players, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe the old Arteezy was slightly more Sumail-esque, but.
So who was the Sumail before Sumail? There must be.
I don't know if there was one.
Maybe there'll never truly be one like him again. The GPK is definitely
one
gone for it.
back.
Turn around the stun, the buyback comes out. Ramses with a charge forward, doing the damage on the Juggernaut, enough to bring him down. The Guardian Angel out, which means there's no sort of rebuttal for VP. Chase the full for more, they'll be able to find Ilias. So they do get some big picks. They should be able to convert it to a tower. Finally, 404, they find some firm ground to fight back. Moving in under the Viper. GPK is full health though, and Sumail is going to melt on the Nevertox. Some mistakes were made. They bit off the extra bit that they choked on.
Yeah, I was surprised he didn't just use himself, but he might have been dead either way. No one with the nice kind of, you know, orb and buybacking, jumping back to the orb.
They might have him still.
Might be
He's been brought out. He's got the BKB just in time, but the problem is the damage is already on him. He was always going to tick out at the end of that because of the demonic purge. I'm not even sure it was worth hitting the BKB there.
No, and it was also the fact that he didn't get the Nether Toxin out on the ground. If he had gotten that out a little bit faster, the cleave wouldn't have worked on him, and he would have survived. But yeah, no, a very nice kind of use there of the mechanic where, you know, puck buying back and the orb is still flying. You can jump back to your orb. It looked almost too good to not happen. You know, I was watching that orb and just seeing that, wow, this is actually an excellent time to use this. You know, some spells were used and you can come back and get this nice coil.
I was just watching the fabulous right clicks of Ramses really demolishing.
Sumail might be in trouble here once again.
Whoopsie. Make it look so easy. He's going
From
for
bad to
higher
worse.
for the BKB as well. I don't know if BKB first would necessarily save him though, right? Like he's still so squishy in this game, even just with the physical damage.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna be squishy for a while, but you see that 404, I mean, despite all these kills and Sumail having such a rough game, Ramses, we see him at the top of the net worth here. He's going for this Orchids after the... Oh, he's actually disassembled his... So he disassembles the Echo Saber to go for this Orchids. Quite surprised by this, actually. I feel like the Echo Saber is a large portion of your damage, but... Maybe he wants it against the... I'm just not sure, because the thing is, the Juggernaut is going to have his Manta very soon. The Viper has a BKB, and Timber's going to have Lotus.
Yeah, and also, like, in terms of scaling at layer, Silver Age is very good in this game, right? Against a Viper, against a Timber. Like, there's plenty of heroes who utilize that I am against. But I guess he feels, you know, we need extra disables right now. And obviously, you could consider an Ags in this type of game, but I don't think getting on top of VP is the problem for 404.
No, I'm curious if he's going to go for this Ags or not. Oh, this is such a disgusting pause. This is like you don't even want to play right now.
Oh no! Yep. I think
It's
just point
there's
out
this smoke, and you know your whole maneuver. Of course, if GBK wanted to, he could always just pop the BKB. It's just way too easy. But this is such an unfortunate timing for a smoke, for a pause.
I mean, DM will apologize, but I don't think 404 can be happy with that apology. He still gets hit by the stun. They'll toss him out.
I think it was very fortunate the save came there and tossed him out. I think that fight would have ended very poorly for 404.
I feel like that was the plan in the end, right? Like, now you still got the Illusion Room, which is an extra dispel if someone can't save it. And it is in his name, so you know he's usually going to be there whenever you call. He's like the Superman of VP. Yeah, I am curious to see if we're going to see the... Yeah, we are going to see the Superman on the side of 404. Ramsey's queued up the Ags next.
Yeah, it's going to be quite necessary, I think, to get on top of these heroes. You know, if you can take out some of the supports potentially, just I mean, the CM dies in no time. And I mean, if you can ever get on top of the Juggernaut, of course, that is your absolute best target. There's no save except for the save from save on the Tiny if he can toss you out, but it's not incredibly reliable the same way that this Disruption is, or the Omni Knight, for example.
No, it's... The condition is required. I need to not have my blink on cooldown. I need to be able to be in range. I need to have something to toss you away too. Whereas on 404, it's like, look, we just press our buttons and nobody can die.
And this smoke becomes a little bit too telegraphed, maybe by the fact that this mid lane is...
There we go, anyway. Recall will be thrown out on the save. We'll turn around with the Avatos, do some damage. The healing water's near him as well, so Tiny didn't melt too quickly here. He's got one level on the Grove, but the damage is pretty high from Ramsey still. They're trying to slow him down. He is hunt forward. Wants to finish that kill, though. Turn around on DM, who has no reactive armor stacks just yet. Hunt forward. Looks like Puck's able to finish off Tiny. Buyback will come out as they are in deep. Now they're looking to punish it. No one. Not able to get away. He's gone. Instantly punished for that. That's going to be his dieback situation. On the side, though, they're losing bigger targets. Timber is brought down. GPK with the BKB to run away, but Ramsey's too fast as he hunts forward. And GPK, Viper Strike on cooldown, but the Omnistack's going to come out of Ramsey's. There will be a save, though. They throw out the disruption. In the meantime, Melissa's going to fall to Sumail, and now Ramsey's avalanche toss is going to be there. They melt through him quick enough for the magical damage. They don't care about the physical. We'll be able to TP out with Zayats, but it looks like, you know, BP, the price was high, but they'll feel good about what they got out of that. The Puck and the Sven in the end, and they might be able to go into the pit.
If they can get this Roche, it's going to be very big for them. You see the gold is kind of leveled. The two buybacks from both supports here. They did lose Ramses, so it's gonna cost them. But I actually think in that fight, if you looked at the Tiny, the fact that he didn't have Dex Echo Saber, Sumail didn't want to press the Master Manus to kill the Tiny, and so he doesn't get the kill. I think he would probably have gotten it if he had the Echo Saber, and the Orchids didn't really do much in that fight. He used it once on the Timber Saw, it got immediately Lotus, and yeah, just kind of a curious purchase, but of course, Ramses, he knows generally what he's doing, so...
It's one of those kind of weird scenarios as well, right? Because there is a ripple effect from that happening where no one then dives the tier 2 with all his spells on cooldown, and that's why he then dies Tiny buyback. But at the same time, as you say, Ramses, he must have a clear plan of this. I mean, the Orchid definitely has some value in this game, so you can appreciate the need for that extra silence against a team that don't have ways of dealing.
Yeah, it's just the fact that they do have ways of dealing with the silence. That's why I find it strange. You know, they have all the cores are not really bothered by it, and the Save is even queuing up his own Lotus Orb. So even more ways.
I'm wondering if I'm not quite sure if DM had the Lotus when he decided to like disassemble.
He had some of the parts, I think.
Yeah.
And,
So it should have been
you're gonna
obvious.
expect your Timber to get some sort of a way to deal with silence either way, you know, whether it's a Yules or a Lotus. Very common pickups for Timber.
It's a peculiar one. I mean, you get some attack speed. I'm like reading the Orchid stats. And I'm trying to think, it's like, is there someone I'm missing here? But I think you're right. It's definitely not a traditional or conventional way to build your stuff.
I think I've seen quite a few people build it. It's just
Yeah, but in this
I would say
game.
generally, yeah, no, exactly in this game. You know, generally when I see it, it's maybe after this Echo Saber. Of course, the disassembling can be nice, but I mean, 404, they're sort of bringing it back. You look at the gold; they're catching up. They were down by 4K, now it's only a 1K difference, and I think that the pressure is to some extent on VP here. They need to, they want to make use of this Aegis as best they can. Juggernaut going for a Skadi next, but this Sven is going to become a problem. Already level 18 now. With that level 20, it's gonna be way more difficult to deal with him. He's gonna have the Ags, and you know, with the lower cooldown on Stormhammer, he's just gonna be flying around with the Heavenly Grace on. They're hard to stop.
Yeah, you say he's gonna be a problem. I mean, he's already proven to be a problem. It's gonna be an unavoidable problem. Is probably the fairer way to put it, right? Like you think of how most of these heroes are going to try and juice and jive him out. And that's why Saber's building that Lotus you mentioned earlier as well. It's probably the only item that you can really build against Sven to kind of counter him to some extent. Like Ghost Scepter doesn't work, yours doesn't work, Glimmer Cape doesn't work.
No, exactly. This talent of dispelling, it's quite ridiculous.
Especially for a level 15. It might be the strongest level 15 talent in the game, actually.
I mean, it's definitely a very, very strong. It has a lot of use, this talent.
Everyone right now is just shaking their fists in the chat. They're like, when Ice Frog getting rid of that? Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if they at least shift it to a higher level, if not obliterate it straight away.
Yeah, the thing is, it generally becomes kind of more efficient towards these later levels. That's why it's kind of funny that it is at level 15, you know. It would be better for Sven if the Stormhammer cooldown was probably the lower one, and if they swap places, it would probably benefit Sven.
That's true. It's just like, it's something that people didn't really kind of see at first because Ags wasn't being built on Sven. It kind of looked like a meme, but now it looks broken. Zayats, his TP will be broken. He tries to escape, but it tanks the gank. Sumail's able to get away. He's not been hemorrhaging as many kills as he was in the early phases of the game.
Yeah, Sumail is getting close to his BKB. It's obviously going to be very useful for him. How much time is left on this Aegis?
About a minute.
Just about a minute, so...
Still try for one more flow.
Yeah, we might see 404 just try to not get caught during this last kind of minute of the Aegis. No one is queuing it. He's queued up the Ags, and this item is going to be very strong for 404. If you can Ags coil some of these heroes, your Sven is he's going to be allowed to deal a lot of damage in these fights.
Elderly don't know retreat though. That's going to be Ramsey's new name, especially he's going to get this plate mail next game, close to his next item.
Yeah, and another thing that could be very big this game is if Shadow Demon ever were to get to this Axe. He's queued up a 4-step now, so obviously it's going to be quite far away, but you know, should they manage to win some sort of fight, SD gets, you know, to survive and gets a couple kills, then the Axe in this game could be very, very big for 404.
And you're getting to a stage where, because Sumail's not an easy pick, this Bloodstone, like, he will start to build charges off the back of just randomly running these fights. You know, even though it's just... He has gone for the plate mail over the Hyperstone, which some people might sit there and think that's a bit odd, but it means you're less reliant on these saves having to come your way in the fights, and I guess that frees up the supports of 404 to focus on keeping Sumail alive if he gets jumped instead.
He doesn't want to die to the Juggernaut, just the Omni Slash. I mean, if he uses Mask of Madness, his armor is not that amazing.
No. And that's the thing, usually the save with like a Disruption or like a Guardian Angel will be there, but the moment they do that, we see what happens. Usually his VP turn and kill Sumail instead.
I really want to see this God Strength now with the Heavenly Grace. This Sven is going to be... He is going to be dealing quite a bit of damage.
And it just gets better and better as the game goes on. You know, you get level 20 on that Omni Knight, -3 seconds, so you can just have perma uptime on the Sven.
Yeah, you are gonna have now the Skadi on the Juggernaut, so it's going to help. It's gonna be quite useful here, especially since there's a Paladin sword with the Mask of Madness. Sven's healing would be quite nice, but the Skadi obviously going to help you quite a bit.
Yeah, it's going to be a big focus on the opening of these fights, right? Like, obviously, it goes without saying you got Sven and Puck on one side, but if Epi gets in on the right target with an Omni Slash, they're not coupled together, which you don't want to do against Omni Slash at this stage of the game. You could see VP take an early kill advantage in these fights.
This is the kind of crucial moment here for 404. They have the Axe on no one. Sven is he's ready to brawl. Even Greaves on solo.
They're moving in. Ramses jumps in. Dream Call on the free. One was able to dodge it. Epi Kid gets just out of range. CM's already gone. Save's going to fall as well. They move through to try and cut the back line, but Guardian Angel comes out. Disruption save is going to be there. The Shadow Demon keeps himself alive. The stun control is good. They find the kill onto GPK. No one chasing forward. Ramses will use the illusion to his advantage to force the fight towards them, but it looks like the Timber is out. 3 dead on the side of VP. That was 404's big reveal, and they do pretty decent off of it.
I mean, you see the damage. That is what happens once you get this coil on the Puck, and this big beefy Sven with the... Yeah, I mean, he's got 3.3k HP. He's dealing some close to 700 damage per hit.
Well, I mean, they were fortunate not to have 4 dead, right? They very almost caught Epi in that as well. And obviously, you know, you're going to be stuck in there as the Juggernaut with the Ags now in the Puck. So, it might count the lucky stars that they didn't hemorrhage the big bad carry in the Juggernaut. Uh-oh, they might hemorrhage this though. An ambitious TP attempt by DM. He's stuck here now. They're actually just interested in the tower first before they turn their attention towards the Timber.
Yeah, they could just kind of chase him down if they want to. No one is just going to commit the coil. There's not a lot you can do here for Timber.
Just farm
up some creeps.
The RTZ approach to any issue is classic. No, just hit creeps, you know you're dead. There you go. Oh, is he dead? There we go. They're going to keep up with him. He's making them work for a lot though. So you do get him in the end, but I guess you could say space created, right? Everyone on VP got back up, and it allowed Jug to keep farming in the meantime.
Yeah, it's going to be the completed AC now though on Sven. You know, he's going to be swinging even harder. And you can see 404 have finally brought the gold back in their favor. This is when their lineup excels, you know, despite having this really rough start for Sumail and most of their heroes coming online quite slowly. Now their draft is sort of coming into its full power here.
And, you know, Sumail's also catching up as well, like he's able to contribute. I feel like he's scaling better than the Viper now, right? Because GPK, he did go for this build, this magical build. And it kind of feels like when you compare the Shadow Fiend builds, where physical versus magical, right? It's the same situation where his potential as the game scales feels a little bit limited, unless he decides to randomly switch into the right-click items.
Yeah, I think he just needs to get, you know, he just wants some armor. The Shivas is one of the best items against Sven. Just trying to remove some of his attack speed, and of course the armor helps.
Puck just getting even more elusive. Actually just hit the 26 the other way in Rift. I mean, and the way these fights are going, Puck can more or less always be the safest person to push out lanes by any risk to him. As he moves in, just pokes across the Jug. Atos comes down to Sven. BKB used, turns around. God Strength, coil onto 2. Viper using that tree to his advantage, but vision will be given to the Sven to try and clean him up, toss away to save the day. Does get Viper out. And Save's still alive. They're chasing in the freezer field. It is down. Still running. They don't hit him up with the stun. They're going to try and melt through him now. They lost the Viper already. Pieback comes out the Shadow Demon. DM dishing out a lot of damage here, but they will be able to find the kill into Ilias, and they'll hunt forward, look for more. With Storm Hammer forward, Epic does get the spin out. They need to be careful. No magic immunity on their Sven. He does the Ghost Strength though, sees the opportunity to bring down Save, and he'll flip on top of him. Turn around on the Timber as well. They need a follow-up stun, but still on cooldown. Yours to buy some time. I don't know if they're going to stun out in time. They will. They get DM. 4 dead on the side of VP. Roche is about to spawn in 10 seconds. 404. Once again, timing this fight perfectly.
Yeah, just once again the coil and Sven. There's barely any counterplay, and you saw also solo there. He's just holding this Guardian Angel for the Juggernaut ult. He uses it, and you know he has a lot of damage on this Juggernaut, but almost all of it got just removed by this Guardian Angel.
Yeah, you can actually see that now Epic is like, okay, he's queued it up, but okay, I wondered if he was going to buy out on it, because you're in this precarious scenario where with this Aegis, 404 can just get rid of the remaining out of towers and start to siege your base. he sees the need for it. He does get caught. Luckily for him, they're not going to be coming quick enough. So he might get away with this, as he'll just run off with a Mask of Mana. Fuel's going to come out. Sven is here now, though. He needs to move quicker. There's the body blocks from no one. He's keeping him locked in. And guess who's coming? The big bag shark. And you're in his river. He'll get the spin out, but the damage is going to be way too much. His Epikid, he just bought the Ags. They don't know it because he hasn't had it delivered. But he's dead for 80 seconds without buyback.
Yeah, he didn't have a TP there. If he had a port, he could have just spun and TP'd out. There's no way to cancel that.
He got interrupted, right? When the puck came in.
Ah, yes, of course.
I think that's what happened because the Dream Call's on cooldown. But it was always worrying when we especially when he chooses to buy the Ags that far out base, right? That's the other part. Like, luckily they didn't see him pick it up, so they do not have a clue that there's no buyback on the Jug. So they might be a little bit defensive on 404.
Yeah, I mean, Ramsey's here also just committing for this Bloodthorn. Now you can see just how strong he is. Just the added attack speed, he's just gonna keep the cheese. They gave the Aegis to Sumail, which makes sense because Sven without the God Strength and BKB is not really a hero.
Recall on the 2, moving in. Stun is returned. Ramses will now just throw out his BKB with the Guardian Angel and run Timber down. He's dead. Save will be turned on to next. Also fallen. And stun forward onto the Viper. Doesn't care about the freezer field. He might soon, but it's not enough magic damage to deter Ramses from diving the tier 4s. Powers won't stop him either. They'll turn around at the DM. He just bought back. He'll be stunned in return with the Lotus. But he's still dead. 95 seconds on the sideline. How the hell do you stop this Sven?
There's not really any stopping this Sven anymore. They could even just go for the tier 4s here. It's very nice to see 404, even despite having this kind of a rough start. They understand their timings very well. They're playing around the Sven.
Well, he got the kill. But I don't think it changed anything. Like you said, 404, they just understand. Like, they were very patient in this early mid-game. They didn't try and force them out. They let VP have their time in the limelight where their draft was stronger. Now, they're showing why they're stronger. So moving, Dream Call come out, Omni Slash to bounce around, doing a lot of damage, does get rid of the Aegis. But now he has nothing to follow up. The throne is exposed, so he has to stand his ground right here. Sumail will come back up. BKB in 2 seconds, no one will cover him. Stormhammer in, does stun up onto Epikid. Avalanche, toss in. Sumail isn't gonna die though, Bloodstone will heal him up. Stun is a whiff. They'll back away, they'll respect the fact that the Viper is back up. And GPK does go in, Atos, BKB gets forced, Ramses will TP out, and it looks like Puck will get away as well. Solo will even make this escape in the tree line. So, you know, BP, they're still in this game. They're only 1 lane down, but the Ancient is exposed and it's not looking healthy.
Yeah, I mean, they might still be, you know, they're still playing in the game. And, you know, Epikid, at least he's queuing up this Rapier. He understands they desperately need way more damage. The thing that I talked about, though, a little bit is that, you know, I felt that this Juggernaut, he needs to get either a Nullifier or a Basher. He needs to go get on top of the Shadowed Demon and or Omni Knight. To be able to deal damage in these fights, they need to kill these 2 supports. But it's very nice to watch, just watching kind of Ramses on the Sven. It's very nice to see. It's just kind of decisive play all over. He understands what he has to do, and he's just delivering.
Yeah, he understands that at this stage in the game, there's no such thing as 2. He sees someone, he'll chase them to the ends of the earth in that Stormhammer. You could have 4 Force-Staffs and closely found. And you know Ramses will still go inside that fountain and probably kill him.
GPK here. Might get caught. The port still a few seconds on cooldown. Same for the BKB.
Yep. He needs to buy time. I don't know if he's going to have it, though. He's just gone. GPK, he has no buyback. He's 300 gold short. He was trying to get it. I wonder if they realize as well. I mean, he didn't buy anything new, but after last time when you saw the Epikid clearly didn't have buyback when you're in his base, you got to be tempted to kind of poke the bear and see if it bites back.
Yeah, and the bear, it does bite back, you know. So one does not simply poke a bear.
Well, right, they can bite back, but this one cannot bite back. That's the problem. Look at them waiting. Like, okay, let's test this right here. It's not like we've got to worry about diving tier 4s. Ramsey says, okay, if they won't come to us, then we'll just hit the buildings. Moving in, Epikid using the spin, but that's not the right way to go about this. That just lets them hit the throne. They're bringing it low. They'll end the game. 404, game 1 in their hands. VP already trailing.
Yeah, it's very nice to watch this level of Dota. You can see, I feel like a lot of teams, they would just crumble in the beginning of this game. You know, they would just feel like there's no way to play in this game. But 4-4, despite being down quite a bit and Sumail having such a rough game, they understand their timing so well. They understand their drafts, and they just play around the Sven. And once you saw this Axe on the puck, there was just, I mean, they just went go, and they got this team fight after team fight, and there was no stopping.
Yeah, that is very impressive. It was like you said, it comes down to that composure, that control, that understanding the game is not lost, and that definitely comes with not just seasoned players, but a very seasoned captain, right? I think that's the big difference that I hear a lot of players and a lot of other talent talk about when you compare, these tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 teams. It is the lack of really good captains to share around that have years and years of experience. And Solo definitely has that type of what's the word I'm looking for? That kind of power about him, that gravitas to get his people in line and make sure they understand that this game can still be won later.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have players like Sumail and Ramses and no one, I don't think the Solo has to do all that much of the kind of explaining them what to do. I think they're all very competent in their roles and they understand what has to be done in order to win the game. It's not players that just give up because of this or this.
No, for sure. It definitely helps though, right? It's always, I think a lot of people talk about these kind of tier 1 teams, or could be tier 1 teams with these standout players. And usually the thing that maybe kind of makes them crumble is they don't have that mantle of leadership to rely upon, right? That seasoned captain, especially in CIS actually, where usually there's 3 captains that come to mind, right? Like Solo's one of them. Another one's FNG that's gone off to Alliance now, so he's not even part of CIS anymore. They're becoming a little bit missing, shall we say, from the top tier captains right now.
It's always been sort of hard to find these very good captains, but I mean, even Ramses, he's been sort of a captain. He's been a drafter and everything, and yeah, these players are all very competent, and they've all been around for a very long time. Sayak being the one who's maybe not the same level of experience, but
he's definitely one of the new gens, right? Like GPK on the other side. And the interesting thing here, folks, is that Virtus Pro, they were the prodigies. So far, just Error put them in their place. Because one game so far and just Error a lead. And we're going to hit a short break. And when we return, we'll see if VP can bite back or if there's no teeth in this bear's jaw.
EGB, your esports betting world. The only place to find the widest choice of popular games and matches to win real money. Choose your bet on a single event or express of several matches with dizzy odds. Serving the market for 7 years with over 800,000 users. Join now to get your bonus for the first deposit up to $600. EGB, you know for sure who's gonna win.
Hey there, Dota fans. A quick game number 1 to get our series started today. 404 takes it. T-Gov, you and I were chatting throughout that game, and you called it pretty darn well. Tough early game for 404, but then they struck back and looked pretty strong. That was like the story of the game for Sumail. Rough lane, not a lot of denies with that Leshrac, and then once the team fights broke out, things looked a little bit better.
Yeah, I think this was a really good game from 404, being able to allow VP just enough space into the map to feel confident. And then I think around about that 17-minute mark, when VP barrel up into that Radiant high ground area, and there's a pot coil, Sven damage, Leshrac as well, that was like the moment it's like, 404 is really hard to kill, actually. And obviously Juggernaut didn't get Omni Slash off. And to me, that was just showing that 404 is beautifully scaling. And Ramses, he was top net worth, best part of the entire game, right? So it's a very good stand-up performance of him as well. But this Omni factor, teams don't think about it too much. And I think he did like 10,000 healing by the end of that game. And that's not a number you can kind of forget about.
Yeah, he probably did like 1,000 damage in that game and 10,000 healing, you know. That's why they picked him. It was an incredible start for Virtus Pro, where they were very active. They just, have this Tiny roaming around, getting the kills, 4K gold lead, 10 minutes in. I think a lot of the teams, would crumble under the pressure that VP was putting onto Just Error, but they kept their shit together. They just played some good Dota. All they needed to do is, not get rolled over around like 15-20 minute marks. Sven was still farming very nicely. There were a couple of stacks, but if you look at the position 5 and position 4s in this game, you have Shadow Demon and Omni Knight. Like, these are not the strongest heroes early on, especially Omni Knight 5. There's a reason we didn't see too much out of this hero. It's the second time, so we might see much more of it. But the thing about it is you don't want to be fighting early on with that hero. You don't have enough mana pool to sustain. You need some items, you need levels, and this is exactly what they needed, just to get some levels. Yeah. Also, what I like about having 2 saving heroes is they're taking care of each other, so the other team does not have a clear target to go for. You go on Omni Knight, he's going to get disrupted. You go on the other guy, Omni Knight's going to save him.
Yeah, definitely. We saw that dynamic. I wanted to ask you guys as well about the itemization on Ramses. We've seen Sven be pretty textbook. You need your BKB. You need that Aghanim's. Usually there's an Echo Saber in there. He ended up with a Bloodthorn this game. pretty cool item to see in the hands of Sven.
It's basically about that additional lockdown and being able to kill your own hero, right? Like all the heroes on Virtus Pro are very kind of tanky to some degree, so it just allows him that extra bit of kind of oomph when he gets that engagement. So yeah, I can see it. And also, if you look at the itemization on VP, were they really dealing with this type of like Orchid-esque item coming into play? They didn't. They had like one Lotus Orb. There wasn't that natural way. So yeah, it just gives another platform for him to go aggressive. And when you are that farmed, when you are ending the game 14-2-10, you kind of are allowed to buy, that free item to treat yourself, spoil yourself in the victory.
Yeah, 14-2-10. He earned it. He earned that Bloodthorn.
He did. He really did. One thing that we talked about during the draft when we saw Omni Knight and we saw the heroes on Virtus Pro is there's no Dispel. Like they can't get rid of that Guardian Angel, so it's very tough to play into. That's why maybe I wanted to see something like Enchantress Oracle come into a play. There's also no Nullifier build. And once Puck gets Aghanim Scepter, they have no counterplay to that. BKBs came online for Just Error, and they were ready to fight. Also, I'm really impressed the way no one is playing on the offlane. He made a much faster transition from playing that mid lane for years, and now he's being offlaner. It's very smooth. It came in really quickly, I would say.
I like how he itemized
kind of
that
cheat
game
though, right?
Well, he's playing a mid laner in the offlane. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you're about to talk about itemization. I'm talking about this hero pool, Mr. Zari. He's playing that offlane. You can't cheat the system and pick Puck, all right? It's not as if maybe if we see an Invoker in the offlane, then he'll get a put out.
I just like the Ags Puck against Juggernaut. Yeah. That's just such a feel-good, very worthy 4,200 gold investment that gives you such a good tool against that hero. Big fan. But Magnus now for VP. We talked about this last game. It was that Magnus Void that they played a lot in their first series. Obviously, Void taken out again. But they will grab their way into the Magnus as they now ban out the Omni Knight instead.
I love these bans though from Virtus Pro. Like in the first game, it was Undying Magnus, and they were like, "Okay, cool, yeah, this is fine. Don't give Just Error the first pick Magnus." And they're like, "Wait, actually, this Omni Knight, this random Omni Knight is now our biggest concern." I love calling it like the domino effect of a series. One game you lose to it, gotta ban it out in the second game. Can't deal with that thing. So yeah,
they're evolving.
They are. We can't deal with them.
I love the approach. You just lost the game. Okay, I love this hero. It's a weak laner, but it gives you so much. You have BKB piercing ability. You have a setup. You have an ability that's just gonna split the fight. Heal. I'm really surprised whenever I see Faceless Void like Phantom Assassin. Why is this hero not picked?
Yeah. I agree. It's one of the best scaling supports in terms of that ultimate late game. Winner's Curse just keeps getting better and better. And there you go. They'll grab a hard carry. Now, you mentioned Wyvern being weak in the lane, and I often think of Spectre as one that wants a support that can really help her out, right? She struggles a little bit in the early levels. Is this a lane combo that can work? Could this be like a position for Wyvern? I'm curious here.
So this is actually most likely their safe lane combo. Okay. Where they ran it twice against Yellow Submarine in that grand final to qualify for Division 1, and they won both games of it. It's primarily the reason for the Wyvern pick in those games was to deal with an IO, but in principle, it's the same idea, right? It's that carry that's going to have that big physical, that accelerant, and you need to deal with it somehow. And I don't mind it at all, because also the way in which Spectre's played nowadays, you want to buy Blade Mail, you want to retreat to the jungle. What do you want in your position 5? Wave clear. So it does bode well for the Magnus counter, the lane soak, and enabling Spectre to farm without that jungle invade due to you losing your tower.
Wyvern is one of the better heroes that, once your carry goes to the jungle to get some farm, you're there standing inside the trees, defending the tower, getting the farm, and one of the hardest heroes to catch. You can't really just, cut down the trees and find Wyvern. That's really tough, especially if it's post 10-minute mark push that you're trying to do. You always need to be aware of that Winter's Curse.
Yeah. But again, he is a weak laner, right?
Yeah.
We've already kind of lightly touched that. He is very, very bad.
What do you mean weak? 40 damage weak?
Whoa! Sorry. Oh yeah, but either way, this Wyvern doesn't really provide much, right? In terms of lane. Level 2, level 3.
She ain't no Enchantress. Let's put it that way.
There we go.
VP,
yeah,
they've got the position 5 Enchantress. She's going to be bringing the pain. Wyvern, she'll be throwing some Arctic Burns every 50 seconds. That'll be cool. Keep an eye
looking from a
out for that.
distance, you know. You go, good luck, Spectre, for I shall pool. And that's about it. That's literally all the Wyvern does.
Hey, the cooldowns are a little rough for the Wyvern. She reminds me of the old Willow. Remember old Willow when she had like all 40-second cooldowns at level 1? That shit was brutal. That was a rough support.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it reminds me of Lion. Like I was just watching a game yesterday, and
5 seconds remaining.
Lion has a hex, so I scroll over it to see what the cooldown of it, and 30 seconds on level 1 ability. That's pretty bad. It's
That's
one of
rough.
the worst abilities in the game.
For
I
level
think
1.
everyone can agree that they've experienced that Lion player who goes like 2-0-3, stuns you, drains your mana, but does nothing else. That's why. Hex is just too painful. I actually hate those Lion players. They don't do anything in the game. Everyone feels that.
It feels good to kill them 30 minutes later, though. You go, yep. That's what you get for mana draining me, bud. Second round of bans complete, though. We've got Bloodseeker, Doom, and Mars taken out by Virtus Pro, and then a bunch of carries here. The Viper, the Anti-Mage, and now the PA removed by Just Error.
10 seconds remaining.
In regards to Just Error's ban, of course, you have to ban the Viper against the Spectre, and I think they're now looking towards what are the most activated carries that can deal with a Spectre. Anti-Mage with Magnus, we've seen how they've adapted their builds to be like Mask of Madness, even Manta, then Skadi, for example, and that's just, it destroys Spectre. You can't match that. And again, Mac PA, you have to respect that for sure.
Okay, so
again.
another save. I like what they're doing. So, just having 2 abilities, you have a good setup. Like, what do you pick here? And these heroes are, once again, not the strongest laner. Shadow Demon's okay. Depends. Like, he can make a lot of stacks.
10 seconds remaining.
I'm a bit worried for the early game that they're going to have with these 2 supports once again. But if they somehow manage not to get rolled over 10-15 minutes in, these supports are going to scale.
Definitely. And Shadow Demon can set up for other heroes to make some combos. Now Phoenix for Virtus Pro, so 2 saves a different way, 2 forms of heal now. And obviously Egg is pretty nice. But like Shadow Demon Centaur, that's a combo I kind of think of in the off lane that has some potential kill threat. I wonder what no one's going to play this game, though.
10 seconds remaining.
Mirana, let's go.
Oh, no, not that. I don't have my bow tie on me. I can't eat the bow tie, Lacoste, all right?
Oh, no. The Mirana call comes in again.
Here she comes.
Even like Slardar, though, right? Shadow Demon Slardar. That's another example of a really good lane pairing, but Void Spirit also fits the bill.
No real lockdown for Void Spirit with these 3 picks. Like, he's really not afraid of any of the heroes. They're very limited on the attack speed against the Egg, so this could be an issue for Just Error. But it's a good Void Spirit game. Like, it might be, another cheating by no one where he just plays Void Spirit on the off lane,
Yeah.
Seems likely.
Well, it's also a draft advantage, right? Because they have second pick. We say it a lot of times during a draft. We don't know if it's Void Spirit mid, is it going to be off lane? And that's where that advantage comes in from Just Error's draft. I like the fact that Virtus Pro, they identify that you have a lot of saves from Just Error. So they're going to overwhelm you with team fight, but also team fight that can't really rotate. Because when you look towards the type of heroes, if you have a lot of team fight, you naturally aren't very good at rotating. And same again for if you have a lot of saves, it's hard for you to make moves on the map. So look at Phoenix. That hero doesn't want to make moves towards runes, right? And Shadow Demon Wyvern, they're going to be the same type of hero. So VP mirroring what Just Error have, just so that they can, if you have save, great, but we'll win the team fights.
Juggernaut into Wyvern, into Void Spirit, Shadow Demon. I really dislike it. What are they doing?
Why? Like, they picked it into Omni. I already didn't like that, but okay, Jug's not that one-dimensional necessarily. Sometimes you can fight around GA. But I agree wholeheartedly, Lacoste. This doesn't look like a fun Jug game. Like, why Jug over Troll or something? Like, healing? That's like the one thing I can think of. They've got a lot of healing on this Virtus Pro lineup.
But I think if you look towards how VP played that previous game, they did accrue quite an early lead. They were in kind of the driving seat, right? And at minute 17, they ran into pot coil, etc., died. So in terms of their game plan, they were following the script of how to win their game with that draft. And their only mistake was a big team call that happened. So in that regard, they don't mind the Juggernaut for the idea of what it provides. If they can accrue the same lead and also have that Jug factor, sure, or the Magnus factor, sorry, it might be a much better game. But it still puts VP in a position of, if they make a mistake, they will just lose the game, right?
So the Jug did buy... He bought Battle Fury last game, and now with the Magnus, he won't have to do that. So I see
Exactly.
what you're saying. Similar strat, just activate the Jug to come online even earlier.
But it's still risky, right? It's still very risky. You can't beat around that because there are 3 heroes that if they get Omni Slash, they're like, I'll cold embrace myself, or to shock myself, or dissimulate, or astral step away. Like, thanks.
Yeah.
See ya.
I mean, Juggernaut wants to have that threat of solo killing a hero with the Omni Slash when there's no save if one of the hero is isolated, but he's gonna have a rough time. Like, he needs to have good vision which spells are used. Otherwise, like, we might not see many of the Omni Slashes being used correctly. And Juggernaut does not provide them with any kind of stun. Like, the only stun they have right now is RP. That's
An
it.
egg.
That's very true. Yeah.
RP and egg. Those are some pretty big stun commitments.
Yeah, they're looking to try and group up early and move towards objectives, right? And that's going to be their play. It's kind of the same story as the first game, which does put, fear into my voice right now, even though I'm kind of monotone. You get the idea. It's like, how are they really going to win that fight at the objective, right? Because...
Yeah, I like these final bans, though. Slardar and Axe, 2 very annoying heroes against the Juggernaut, so worth it to take them out if you're a little all-in on this big core. And Storm Spirit Death Prophet, banned by 404, is now VP have to select their mid.
They might get someone like, Puck that's going to hold them in place so that the rest of the team can do stuff. They need a hero that's just going to move around the map, do stuff, make shit happen, but... I don't know which hero that is. I mean, there's possibly like okay, that's not the hero that I was looking for. So what is that?
So is that
mid-mag or mid-tide?
I mean, mid-tide in a 1v1 matchup, or a melee 1v1
Big
is okay.
jams.
But
does Just Era not go for their Pugna here, though? I think from their DP and Stormban, the last time that they run Spectre Wyvern and that kind of idea, it's all about being able to set the
Sumail Pugna?
Exactly.
Let
on
this
the
man
ping.
get some denies in the lane. I'm all
There
in.
we go.
I love it. I love the Pugna.
Is Leshrac still available? I guess Leshrac's not really.
Well, and doesn't Pugna, whether it's
terrible.
Tide or Magnus mid, doesn't Pugna just dumpster that either way? Like, that sounds like a really unfun matchup.
Yeah, I just feel like this Void Spirit's off lane, especially against like a Jug Ench.
I think they're just thinking right now whether they want to put Void Spirit mid and
That's true.
have a better off laner for themselves. That I think the first initial thought was, we're gonna have this Void Spirit, keep things open. Most likely it's gonna be on the off lane, but seeing the Tide Hunter being picked, so they have 1, 2, 3 melee heroes.
Enigma.
Okay, they're just gonna go with Pugna. Pretty simple, standard stuff from them.
Yep, we saw Sumail play it before. Obviously, very comfortable on the heroes. We mentioned the ping advantage actually does make, or disadvantage rather, does make Pugna a slightly more viable pick than usual. And I think against melee heroes, like Decrep is pretty god tier in this 1v1 matchup. This is, I like this Just Error draft a lot, boys. Anyone wanna take Virtus Pro here?
I'll go with no. I mean, they have a lot of team fight, but I'm just not feeling this Juggernaut. It's gonna be very tough game with. He's not gonna get his ulti off. Like, if he gets 1 or 2 kills throughout the whole game, I'd be pretty amazed. Playing into the Cripify, Dissimulate, Disruption, all these kind of saves. One thing they do have is a good laning stage for the Tide Hunter and no real counter for it. Like, they don't have anyone that at any point of this game Tide Hunter should be afraid of.
All right. Well, we're going to hand it over to our casters here. T-Gov, did you have a quick prediction you want to throw in there?
Someone who used to play on VP will win this game.
Okay, good. Well, perfect prediction. Remember, folks, you can find the odds for the winning teams by our partner EGB. They've got a banner below the stream. If you're the betting sort, if you're in a legal jurisdiction, click below, check it out. Appreciate the support. Casters, what do we got? KP, PyCat.
I love that. I love that very diplomatic answer coming out of Teague up there, PyCat. A player who has been on VP is going to win.
Didn't he say a player? Yeah, but he said a player who has been on VP. I feel like that's sort of... They're not on VP.
That's
right?
true.
So he's saying that 404 is going to win.
Does he include Prodigy in that then? I actually know because Epi was on VP and then he was off VP and then he was back on VP.
I guess that's true. I don't know.
So,
yeah.
I'm covering my Brett.
Maybe he's covered all the bases there. Maybe he was that clever, huh? We'll just give it to him there.
I mean, he is one of our panelists. They are geniuses.
He covered himself.
And something that I've noticed, by the way, I don't know if you feel this way as well, but like obviously we've only watched the previous game, now this one. It feels like when most teams with their supports are thinking about like how do we like win the lane, how do we beat the lane, 404 seem to have this different approach. Like they're always fixated on what their supports will do later on in the game, right? It's not about.
It's almost like they're thinking about how to win the game, not the lane.
Oh my god! Wow! Wow?
These guys.
I mean,
whoa!
It's
crazy, right?
It's like it sounds kind of weird because I'd say for like the last several months it's felt like you win lane, you win game, right? Like I feel we have started to shift away from it, but just a few months ago, like lanes seem to be all that mattered, right? You win your lanes, game is yours. It's very hard to like throw the lead.
I think a lot of the time with new patches, people think a lot about the lanes initially. They're like, oh yeah, right, you win the lanes. And then as people start to figure things out, the game slows down a little bit and people start realizing, oh shit, you can play, you can play for some later timings. You don't have to commit always to the lanes. Yeah, I mean, 404, they
Go ahead.
they have sort of a, they have like an anti-draft, It's like these heroes, they're just like, this is like such an annoying draft to deal with. They're gonna give the first blood over to no one, so he gets closer to that urn. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of, they have all of these annoying spells to deal with. It's the Decrypt against all this physical damage. It's the Shadow Demon with the save. It's the Wyvern with the Cold Embrace and the ult. It's like, it's a draft just designed to just mess up these engagements, make the team fighting hard for VP. But sometimes that can be taken a bit too far, and we'll see if that's the case here. It's one of the GPK classics, the GPK Magnus.
It is. I like that point you made where it's kind of anti-draft. It's kind of like when someone's playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's just every time you do something, it's like, I've activated my trap card. There's another trap card. There's another trap card. Like, it is all based on something VP does that 404 wants to respond to. It feels kind of smart when you have a spec in the draft as well, right? Because that means you can always just play for this later and later and later timing of the game.
Nah, for sure. You can definitely play for later timing. At the same time, VP's draft is not it's also going to scale quite well here. They've got like both the Juggernaut and the Magnus scale. I think that the Phoenix is going to could potentially become a very big issue in this game. There's no real egg killer here. They need to sort of kill the Phoenix before that with the Void Spirit getting axe, etc. But that's kind of far down the line. I think early on it's just gonna be just kind of the Pogna Magnus here. GPK so far doing extremely well. But sort of hoping Sumail gets off to a decent start so he can apply some pressure, make some space for the Spectre, take down early towers, and go from there.
Yeah, this mid lane could get volatile with one misstep, but GPK almost got his hands on Sumail when he was close to the tower. But luckily the Decrepify kind of counters out GPK's ability to shockwave into a skewer back option. I think he's identified that. That's why GPK he's decided, nah, just gonna go for shockwave and power early, skewer. It's nice if you can do it, but Pugna, one of the hardest heroes to actually catch off like that.
Yeah, I mean, a Magnus killing a Pugna is not really, unless there's some sort of incredibly strange move by Sumail, it should not really be possible.
That being said, VP, as they go on, their damage is going to be very heavy into that right click. And you did mention that VP aren't at a weakness in the late game. It would be fair to say that Solo's role in this game is going to become very lethal as you approach those later timings.
Ramsey's though in the bottom lane here. He's getting a little bit low. There's a salve on Solo, so no harm, no foul. And you can see both carries are sort of not really enjoying themselves right now. Epicade at 8 CS, 9 now. They're both tied at 9 apiece. Both offlaners having a slightly better time, DM maybe being the happy one here.
And we do see no one's gone for that urn. It just seems to be more or less the standard now for these offlane Void Spirits. Even if you aren't killing early, the stats are pretty nice, right?
Yeah, it's just a decent item, there's some value. You can also buy just the circlet and the Ring of Protection early on. The build-up is pretty good.
Ooh. Cool, Elias here. I don't think that's damage level 1 poison though. Maybe they got in front of him. Pesky Enchantress is a little bit too fast. So far, I'm kind of questioning how maybe VP can ever have any kill threat on this lane, because they always have a means of dodging out a lot of this Juggernaut damage.
Yeah, I don't think that the VP's draft is... I don't really think it's either designed to win lanes. You know, Magnus is not very lane-heavy, like lane-focused hero. The Tide should have a good time just against the Spectre, but I think VP have some... They're in a pretty good position here. I think the Juggernaut and the Spectre, both of them not really farming that much. It's going to heavily favor the Juggernaut, I would say. Just the Juggernaut is going to have Empower to help him catch up, and Spectre is sort of a slow hero anyways. So it's going to be a while before he's online. And VP will definitely have some good chances to make things happen here with a strong Tidehunter.
That's fair as well, like, because you mentioned that, and we were just talking about the fact that 404 is all about reaction, right? Usually when your spec doesn't farm well, the recovery is, oh, we have heroes that can just find a cheeky kill with the Spectre's horn here and there, but they don't necessarily have that in huge bulk, shall we say, on the side of 404.
Yeah, Sumail manages to force the port here from save to the mid lane. However, this doesn't really matter all that much. The Tidehunter is more than fine on his own in this bottom lane. You can see he's close to doubling up the Spectre in CS. And he doesn't really mind being left alone at this point. There's not really any way for them to pressure.
No, I guess the concern is that you got this Pugna. You want to try and chip down these towers quickly because of that aforementioned Magnus and how the juggle recovers. So in some ways, the pressure's kind of on Sumail to be able to find those successful rotations that can open up that jungle.
Yeah, I think Sumail is just he's probably gonna hover around this mid lane for quite some time, unless he finds some very active rune. He did have the haste rune, and that's how he forced it into mid. But he should just kind of be sitting here for a while until he manages to take down this mid tower.
Safe not too bent up about being stuck here, because of course if there's one hero and they draft one support in this game that love to get those early levels quickly, it's going to be the Phoenix. As you mentioned before, no real egg hitter on the side of 404. No pressure on the Zayats here as well. They won't be able to find him. RP on the other side. They've got him. Sumail being burned up here. Life drain. He's going to stay alive. They don't have any means of interrupting this right now. And reinforcements are coming. Sumail's going to live. Yeah, he needs to be careful about the way they re-engage. They'll get the Zayats kill. Sumail just continues the life drain up to make sure GTK can not try and aggress him.
I mean, how sad is that? You know, you find this Pugna, he's almost dead, and you just the Decrypify, and then you just stand there watching him. You know you can't hit him fast enough for him to die. You just have to back off.
It's that moment where he's just like counting the stuns. He's like, wait, you've used everything. Let me just press one button. It's not a big cooldown anyway. If you interrupt it in the next few seconds, I'll have it again.
Yeah, but look though at this bottom lane. The Tidehunter he's just going for this early mech. He's gonna have the arcane boots with the mech. He's just gonna... I mean, they're gonna be so strong, this VP lineup. They're going to be very strong if this Tidehunter goes for some team fighting items, you know, maybe the pipe, the mech, etc.
No Meteor Hammer?
No Meteor Hammer in this one, as of yet at least. We may see him go for that, but I think I would prefer a more traditional build, you know, the Greaves, Pipe, Blink, etc. I think just piling up on the team fights.
I think the Meme Hammer is someone we see, you instantly pick it up or you don't bother with the Tide. You know, we talked about how nice it is for stats, but the synergy with spells is a little bit loose, a little bit awkward. Go back and forth brawl in the mid lane. Sumail just slowly trying to chip away at this tower. There's going to be a dive through. Just to make sure that they definitely move away. RP is going to be available in 30, so Sumail's just trying to make the most of the freedom he has to chip away at the tower. They want kills. I mean, no one's rotated. They're just letting the Jug free farm now.
Yeah, both cores, both position ones are starting to find a bit of farm here, but still the big winner, I would say, still looks like it's DM who's gonna port mid now. Ravage is available.
He wants to pop it. No one's got double astral step. Dodge out, simulate. No, he gets stunned on the high ground. RP's a whiff though. They thought they'd outbrained him there. Two big ultimates in the end. No one finds the one way out of it.
Yeah, and they did find the Shadow Demon there, but it's a rotation from the Tidehunter. It frees up the Spectre, and all you got is this support level 3 Shadow Demon. It's definitely not the end of the world.
It's definitely a big commitment for the game. 4-4 with those on cooldown. Maybe they now try and make a move somewhere. You've got the Horn to play off of. You've got your Void Spirit up at level 6. But there might be some punishment coming the way of EP for that.
Yeah, so far still just a very, very sort of quiet game so far.
The thing I was going to say is like none of these cores that VP have are easy to pick off of 404, right? Like, it feels like if 404 ever want to get kills in this early game, it's probably going to need to be the supports.
Yeah, I don't really expect... Oh, they're going to cancel their region there on Sumail.
They might do more than cancel it.
Here.
They've got the skewer. They'll drag him up under the tower. Life drain will begin. Has he got enough? It's going to be close, but no cigar. The max down power gives GPK the big bucks.
Yeah, the tower and then 3 heroes attacking you. If you can survive through that, then surely something must be wrong.
Yeah, that's when Ice Frog steps in. The game pauses. He just appears out of a magical light in the sky, and then Hugner disappears. So
they're now trying to give Solo.
Breathing into the mic, by the way.
They're trying to give Solo some experience here to get to level 6, so that he can become a bit more useful. Shadow Demon doing some ancient stacking here for Ramses, who's gone for this first item, Blade Mail, something we see quite often nowadays. You just go to the ancients with this maxed out dispersion, and you just farm it up.
And it's usually 1 or 2 items that the carries get early on, because on the other side we're seeing the other item. Epikid's going for the Mask of Madness, and not often to think Battle Fury is the way in this game, because it's got that mag. Instead he'll go straight for the Magic.
And there's quite a few heroes down here in this bottom lane. Solo's just gonna fly away onto the side of the map.
Oh no, they see him. He's got the TP out though, and they realize it's not worth it. They don't want to use an RP.
Yeah, no more Ravages for these low-level supports. You're just not worth it, you know.
It's like they look at it, they do the math, they go, well, I mean, if I was to RP or Ravage creeps, it'd be worth more at this stage. Get out of it.
Yeah, and you see this dire jungle is... There are some stacks here for the Juggernaut. Once he meets up with his buddy, with his Magnus, he could get these quite easily. I mean, even the spin could take out some of these.
He doesn't need to rely on the mag at all times. So the mag is free to kind of go about and make plays. That's always the flip side when you have the core mag, is like, are your farming patterns overlapping? And if you want it, you'll come to me, he says. So Epikid does get that. He'll be able to run his way through the jungle. I wonder if they'll just linger around mid, maybe look for an opportunity to sneak a tower take off a public kill, maybe.
Yeah, Sumail's still trying to get to that mid tower. He's just kind of been stuck around this mid lane for a very long time.
I think he has the range now. He's got the Aether Lens and the Keen Optic. If you can't hit the towers occasionally at that point, I'm not sure
Enchantress?
Life Drain. Whoa!
Yeesh.
Not enough.
Yeah, Ramses didn't really want to commit to the haunt there. He's a bit too low.
They will at least get the tower. I'll poke and prod at GPK. Every time the skewers on cooldown, it's going to be very hard for them to make an aggressive play. No one takes that opportunity. Yoinks a kill quickly. Sumail moves in a little bit deep. Obby Slash bouncing around. Does move across to Sumail, trying to move with the Invis Rune. They will protect the disruption, and the TP out from Epikid. Sumail is going to live. Needs to be careful, though. Gush to slow him down. They could just look to ravage this up, and they will. Stun him up. X going to be there as well. Horn in, but the RP is going to come through onto no one. Run him down. They'll also lose the wipe, and everybody is just dying on the side of 404s. They'll lose Science, Ramses. It's a team wipe. VP, I only needed 3 to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the Juggernaut was there too, right? He helped out with the...
He doesn't get credit.
He was there for a little bit, but you see, I mean, the Phoenix actually dealt 2,000 damage. He was the big boy in that fight. Yeah, you can see now. I mean, DM with this mech, he's level 11. He's the top farmer, all 3 cores of VP, just being on top here. DM also going next for the hood, most likely the pipe. And all 3 cores are off to this very nice start here. You've got the Echo Saber on the Magnus, going for the Blink next. Juggernaut just gonna keep farming. and Tidehunter keeps building teamfight items.
And that all comes off the back of what we see happen so often these days, where a team baits themselves in with an Enchantress kill. And it wasn't that she's level 6 and it just takes ages to kill. It's that 404, they prove they have so much reach, but when you're in, I mean, that just makes it very easy for BP to initiate without any mobility.
Yeah, they sort of walked into that one. Sumail got a little bit caught off guard there. He was obviously very low after the disruption, and there's not much he could do. Save goes down. Gives away some earn charges.
This is just the life now. Sumail says, protect me and anyone who comes here, I'll just press one button and they'll want to leave. But DM not really going to be deterred, so I'm not sure how much chip damage you'll get away on this tier 2.
Sumail taking quite a bit of damage.
Ooh, he's going to live. I don't think that was part of the plan. He wasn't expecting tower aggro for that.
I think he was kind of surprised by the fact that he kept getting hit by the tower.
Yeah. Some people like Sumail, he's a genius. He just had ball, he knew. He was trying to bait them in. But no, I think that was another instance of tower aggro being a little bit mean. I've seen a lot of those. Ramsey's going to just TP away, able to do so. There's no stuns on this side.
Yeah, the Omni Slash doesn't really deal damage quick enough. Even with the Masked Madness, Spectre probably survives there. And Ramsey's going for yet another Ancient stack here. He kind of wishes he had the Cold Embrace from solo, but he's busy elsewhere. And there are quite a bit of stacks here for Ramsey's too. I think he can't really finish the stack though.
No, right now he's like, solo please! The solo's busy getting his own gold, going towards that Blink Dagger. Get a decent amount of gold as Wyverns usually do. Ramsey's, of course, is going to be going towards that Radiance build. We've been seeing it kind of make a little bit of a resurgence now. Realize they can play for those later timings.
Yeah, and Sumail, he's just been parked up here for quite a while now, also going for this Blink Dagger, so mobility is what they're all striving for.
Well, we're seeing how they can kind of manipulate VP so far, right? Like, they're limited on their stuns, and their stuns are very impactful, but they're very costly in terms of...
Yeah, there is now a Blink Dagger though on GPK. There's also a Haste Rune up top that could be very useful for whoever finds it.
I'm moving to find a cheap pick on his Zayats. Disruption will buy him 2 more seconds before he falls. Definitely gone. That is the early warning alarm though. It's for a full retreat from around the mid area. Sumail still on this top lane. Desperately trying to get this town. Look at these TPs. Sumail, TP out. Just in time, GPK looks in the wrong place. Carry sentiment, mid-sentiment rather than tingling. He knew something was definitely wrong there. Keeps him alive. And it's going to be a Dagon build on this target now that he's got the blink online.
Yeah, just a nice item to be able to get some kills on these. Well, especially on the obviously Enchantress, but also potentially on the Phoenix. Maybe even the Juggernaut at some point.
Yeah, but definitely a big one is just snipe Elias out before you can Glimmer Cape react as well, because that's what he's going for as his first armor choices. Almost all entries are doing nowadays. Things will calm down, but like you said, VP, they don't have to be afraid of this kind of calm farm situation. They do just have the power. They have got their Jug at the top of the net worth charts. You can already see Ramsey's starting to fall a little bit behind.
Yeah, I mean, this game is obviously quite different from the last one. There's no Omni Knight. Yeah, there's once again the Shadow Demon, and there are quite some tools to deal with the Juggernaut. However, in this game, there's a Ravage and an RP, which means that you have to position yourself incredibly well as 404. The heroes are very, very squishy, except for the Spectre. And you need to really be careful with your positioning, or you just might get caught.
Hence those Blink Daggers we talked about. The solo is going to be the most crucial one. Like I said, there's no Omni Knight, but Cold Embrace on an individual target will have the same effect. So if you catch Jug just Omni Slashing one individual, you can completely nullify his ultimate.
Yeah, I really like what Demon is doing here. I think this build is very nice. This game, you know, a lot of the times people tend to follow trends. You know, you just buy this Meteor Hammer because you see other people do it. But this game, he recognizes he just needs to add to his team's team fight. And he's going to be very useful, just as a walking shield.
as he shields his jug from taking serious damage. And then he realizes that what we were talking about, that they don't have these cheap stuns that have to be high value, going for the Blink Dagger next. Zayats got out in the same place again. Let's at least get the deep one. And then, yeah, Sumail just doing the pesky Pugner approach, where you know someone is going to have to come back and defend against you poking a tier 3 tab.
Yeah, he's already starting to chip into this tier 3 just a little bit. No one trying to farm up kind of the enemy jungle a little bit here as well.
He has no Astral Steps. He's got the Simulate, but if the kid's waiting, Spin's going to be there. He's fine enough time to have the Astral Steps to get away, though.
Ramses does have the completed relic. Well, not the completed relic, but the relic, and he's going towards that Radiance.
You make 3,800 down payments to 1 gold. That's how you get completed. How would Dota... Nah, that's got me. Imagine if we had some sort of a loan mechanic in Dota.
If they had some sort of a...
Loan mechanic.
Uh-huh.
You can loan another person gold, but they have to pay you back.
Seems
seems
dubious, I think, for your ranked matchmaking games. Very dubious.
Sounds pretty stupid, like the Gambler hero, right?
Give me 500 gold, I'll pay you back, I promise.
And then he doesn't, and you just like a normal loan shark break his legs. All of a sudden, Spectre's moving around the map at 2 movement speed. Probably not a good example of Spectre levitates, so I don't think she needs her legs. No, I think that sounds too close to Gambler that I've been told about. Was it Gambler as the name of the hero? Where he just gets gold? And,
yeah. Well, that was the hero that could deal damage depending on how much gold he had.
Yeah. But like, I feel as if we get loans, then we're gonna invite Gambler back in. From what I heard, it was not a fun hero to play against or with.
No, some of the old mechanics are probably best left out of the game. And there's gonna be now the Radiance on Ramses. Once again, 404 kind of finding themselves in the position where, you know, they're behind in the game, but they do have ways of fighting back. Their heroes are going to continuously keep scaling. And yeah, I mean, with the correct play, they can definitely bounce back in this.
Yeah, they've got some things to play off of if they can find pickoffs right now, because like you said, the Radiance is online. No one getting close to that Axe, but they do now have the Blink Dagger on solo. So they have a quick way in. Sumail, of course, has already had that Blink Dagger for a while.
Yeah, the dangerous thing here for 404 is that their lineup almost entirely consists of magic damage, and with this pipe on Tidehunter, and also the mech, sure, some healing from both the Phoenix and the Enchantress, with a Glimmer Cape soon to be completed by Ilias. So much of this damage is going to be negated.
Will they find Ramses is the real question. He needs TP, he needs to be TP right now. That was a little bit too close for comfort there. They were rotating towards him when TP was on cooldown for 20, and it's a lot of time wasted by VP. It failed smoke tank. Like I said, yeah, you're right in that kind of magical damage scale. I guess that the problem there is Spec doesn't really shift towards a true physical damage dealer until like what, 3-4 items in. You're mostly about this magical now with the Radiance dishing out in these fights.
No, it's not very easy to shift into physical damage, especially not when you're going for the Radiance build.
You're definitely not getting it from the other cores. I mean, maybe after the Axe, no one says, "Oh, I'll get an Axe. I'll get a Deso rather. We need some extra damage," but not really the build that we usually see.
In before the Desolator Sumail Pugman.
Oof. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like you see them initiate your teammate, you decrepify them, then you right-click them. You save your teammate, so they can't be right-clicked.
Some fierce right-clicks from this Pugman. 404, they're just gonna go into Roche pit here.
Quite fast, actually, for this point in the game. For the lineup, I don't think VP are expecting this at all, because this is not what you call a traditional roaching lineup.
No, it was kind of helped by this disruption from the Shadow Demon, the dispersion, of course, dealing quite a bit of damage to Roche. To anything, really.
Now Ramses can dish out a lot of damage before he dies, now having an Aegis in his possession. You have a close to that Manta. All of a sudden, VP might be a little bit reluctant to try for these quick pick-offs with smoke gangs now.
Yeah, you have to be careful fighting the Spectre with the Aegis, but they do have, like I said, a lot of this Tidehunter, the supporting items for his team, and Juggernaut has a completed Skadi on top of the Manta, on top of the Mask of Madness, and GPK is getting close to his BKB.
Yeah, it's all about jump on that backline, right? There's so many heroes that tank up the Spectre further. Whether you're talking about the disruption, creating those illusions you mentioned, the Roshan Bit, the dispersion, you know, the obvious ones, the Cold Embrace on the Spec, on the Wyvern, the Spec, and then even Sumail with the Life Drain. Like, the effective HP on Random in this game cannot be underrated. You can't really fight him directly.
Yeah, and meanwhile you have Sumail just bouncing around with this Dagon build.
Ready to zap anyone's ass if they're not looking. This is the other good thing they got from him as well. There's not really an easy way of locking down no one, because you don't have any true instant stun. You can maybe dodge out or interrupt your RPs or your Ravage attempts. So he's scouting forward always.
And no one does have the completed Axe.
Ravage, jump in. They see an opportunity. It's going to be brought down. Horn is used. Cut to the back line. They force out the egg. Skewer across, though. An RP dodged out, so GPK does hold on to it. On the other side of the fight, though, Epic Kid is being kited here. They will ball up and move forward as they do see Solo, who's already used the Witness Curse. He's just out of range of the burn. He has got the Cold Embrace as well. But it looks like they will be able to pick off the support duo of 404. Looks like that's all they're going to get. They do still have the RP to play around, mind you, but it was a big commitment of the Ravage and the Egg for what are not long death timers on 404.
Yeah, and something that I really like seeing now is this... well, you see the relic queued up by Epileptic Kid. I'm assuming this is going to be a nullifier, which will be very useful in this game for killing the Kog'Maw.
Whoop. Chase it. No one just messing with him. GPK being whittled away out. They want to try and force the BKB out, but it's just too much sustain. That's what you kept mentioning. Tidehunter's build ensures that anytime they commit something big, it's going to be for something in return. No one's
and also the healing ward is helping out.
Layers upon layers. So Ramses is making the best of the situation. He says, okay, if they're all going to screw around the mid lane, I'll get a tower in the bot. No haunt for 60 means they can't try and make a good aggressive play for the moment. I guess that's the big concern as well. It's like VP's cooldowns don't really feel that detrimental when you think of how much 404 are relying on the Horn to do anything. Yeah, loading away. Moving in on the Epic Kid. No one cuts the back line. RP's going to come out, though. It does connect. Void Spirit. A bit of trouble. Being dragged back. Able to move away. Ramses is going to go over the Aegis, though. No one stances them up. Moves away with the Astral Step. They need to help out their spec. Blade Mail gets activated. Jump in with the egg being thrown down. They'll try and right-click through it quickly. Witness Curse will buy enough time. They'll get rid of the egg. With that one being scrambled, they'll look to back up a little, force GPK up to the high ground and zone them away so they can take the tier 2 tower.
Yeah, they managed to get the Phoenix egg. It's not gonna be easy to continue this fight though.
They do have the Horn, but no Witness Curse can make you a little bit reluctant. You don't have that big fat stop what you're doing and hit each other. Horn, there it is, cuts the back line on the Elias down to half HP already, but the Glimmer Cape protects him. No one has no Astral Step, has to wait 2 seconds. Ramses hit up, Cold Embrace will protect him. Ravage chases through, but he's in the tree line. Skewer across is good. Ramses falls and no one. Chased on 2 next, they decide to stop for Zayas. It's an easier kill, but they know that no one has committed all of his resources. He's got to dissimulate, but no Astral Step for 10 seconds. They have no way of stopping a TP out, so he will at least get away, but the price is high for 404.
Yeah, they have the... I mean, they had the Aegis. Of course, it disappeared. I mean, it got killed. And Ramses there just staying a little bit too long. It's very difficult to continue that fight when you don't really have any spells. Kog'Maw can't go in too deep, and... well, you basically have 3 kind of support heroes with this Kog'Maw. Void Spirit scaling a little bit here, but this lineup is very centered around the Spectre. And right now, the Spectre is not really farmed enough to be the centerpiece of this draft.
No, it's more or less when they go in, they're sitting there going, okay, how will we make them kill themselves with Dispersion right now? That's what it kind of feels like. There is some uncontrolled damage. but not enough health to make the Spectre truly formidable.
Yeah, and look at DM. I mean, what a guy. He's got the blink, he's got the mech, he's got the pipe and the Vlads. He's just for the team, man. For the team.
I love the way he parked himself in that previous fight, right? The aggressive blink forward. It's like, well, I don't have a Ravage. I'm not that scary, but guess what? None of you squishy heroes can run past me. That's going to hurt you too much.
Yeah, and TPK he's queuing up the Abyssal. Epikid did switch up from the what was I think a thought of a nullifier, but he switches it up to the MKB now. Just want some more magic damage, also be able to hit the Spectre, even though there's this mischance from Radiance.
It seems like whenever the Decrepify comes out, they just switch targets. They seem to be quick enough. The way 404 kind of getting cool, and these Ravages or these RPs, there's usually at least 2 people that find.
This will do just fine.
Gonna find someone in the top lane. Mel's gonna back up ahead of time. No one's gonna linger around. He's the only one who can try and just shove these waves out. It's gonna be that way for a while until that Abyssal you mentioned comes out, because nobody else is building any sort of instant stun. At one point, Save was considering, I believe, a Sheep Stick, but he switched up for a much cheaper Glimmer Cape option, which is still a little way off.
Sumail almost has the full dig on 5. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot of magic resist for coming from this pipe. And even the spin on Juggernaut, the BKB on the Magnus, and of course Phoenix just kind of able to use the egg whenever.
Yeah, and also that aforementioned Glimmer Cape he's building towards. Like, Ilias already has his, you're going to have double Glimmer, and as you mentioned earlier, 404. It's all magical. Such an easy game to counter the damage from your team, your opponent's in.
Yeah, we do see no one. He's queued up this Deso here. So he's going to be at least doing a bit of right-clicking.
They're trying to punish him here, and they will. RP's going to be there. He gets the first hit bash to ensure that's the case. That's no one gone for 60.
What did you expect? What did you expect?
Pesky split potion from 404. As no one else on their team can really safely shove out these lanes. You saw how risky and close it's been for Ramses multiple times.
Yeah, it looks like Ramsey's gonna go for the Skadi himself here after the Manta. But Epikid is very strong on this Juggernaut. The next row should be up relatively soon.
And he's going towards the Silver Edge next, so they'll have the means to counter out Ramses as hard as he's trying to counter out them right now, and the sustain that VP have. Question is, what do you do when no one's up? I don't think he's likely to buy out on this Deso, considering the state of the game you're at right now. He has the Enchant Quiver, so you're upping your damage again, but it's another type of magical damage source. There's got to be some sort of pivot point that one of these heroes can make, and I'm worried at this rate we're going to be looking at late game Winter Wyvern right clicks as 404's physical damage solution.
Yeah, that's seems so like sort of a pipe dream. There's gonna be the Deso very soon on the Void Spirit, but Roche should be up any second now.
He did buy out on it as well, so if this goes awry, he's dead for a very long time.
Yeah, it just feels like he needs more damage. They need ways of killing these heroes.
Ramsey's just looking for some cheap gold. And when you see different quarries like this, you kind of imagine, like, what would their baby look like?
The baby between which quarry?
It would have been the two in the pit, so Shadow Demon and Jugs. So he's got like the key. But then I don't even know what Shadow Demon is.
Is it like a ghost bird?
Something
Nature's
like that.
Prophet, ghost bird kind of thing?
I think so. It looks like Visage and Nature's Prophet had a bird baby. The problem is, for some reason for me, it's completely green.
So, it's completely green for me too.
Yeah, he's got a pretty park. Both teams just very reluctant around this road. Like, any slip up either side could just lead the opponent straight into your base. And look at this, DM. I don't know if this is a fast enough kill. I don't think you want this. Yeah, they're coming.
Yeah. I don't know if fast enough is the thing. I'm not sure it's possible to kill this Tidehunter. Not without a whole lot more heroes.
RP, straight away they catch Void Spirit. Egg's gonna go down as well. They commit everything with the kitchen sink to ensure no one's gone. And they saw the Deso, which means they know he had no buyback at all. That should be roast for them now. Hunt for more. Definitely getting a lot of value out of this Axe. Ravage is going to be there, connecting on multiple heroes. They find Soul in the back line. He's gone to the Swift Slash. On the side, Shadow Demon's going to go down as well. And Ramsey's running for the high hill. He's short of a team to hold it with. He'll just TP away. And Roche is most definitely in the hands of VP. It's GPK. Almost got the chance at the first hit bash as Ramsey barely gets away.
Yeah, while Ramsey survives, you know, these fights, it doesn't feel like 404 are getting closer to being able to win these fights. If anything, it feels like it's more and more favored VP as we have 420 on the board.
Damn. Okay, send it there. Just wait for 404, like, nope, that's all we wanted. This draft has reached its limits. We'll go game 3, but we'll do it in style. I think they're going to make VP get a few more kills first. Whoop. Little preview of the damage that can be done to a Jug with 3k HP by a Pugna, because it's half his HP immediately. But the problem with that is the only way that works is if DM isn't nearby. DM, as he approaches this base, is always going to be nearby. That is in pretty deep here. He'll force them out of the tree line. The ultimates are on cooldown, so maybe you can find something here. As a kid purged up. Trying to do what he can. Skewer back. They find Solo. Winner's Curse going to come out. Ramsey trying to sidestep, move away from this. Bird being chased onto. Save does have the egg in 10 seconds. Now they'll turn, move forward on the Sumail. He's got the decrep for himself, but Science has no protection. And the Ugly Slash runs on so long that they will kill and force the buyback out of Sumail. Buyback comes out from save. RP! GPK on point. Finds the big targets. They run down and kill off Solo and no one. And Ramsey's, he might have a lot of health, but they have a lot of damage. They'll run him down as well, straight outside the base of 404. And GPK, he'll hunt for more. He'll find Sumail. He'll get the bash, short of a rampage, but goddamn does he feel like he just earned one.
Yeah, I'm not sure that there's that much more to be done here for 404. The Spectre is just... I mean, in the same way that Sven was this big, beefy, kind of uncontested carry, in the same way the Spectre is nowhere near that scenario. And GPK 12-0-10 on the Magnus with the Abyssal Blade, DKP, Echo Saber, Blink. VP are just gonna go for the Jugular.
No way to stop him. No way to curse the 20. The damage is too high here. Even if you kill one member of VP. It's not going to be enough. They throw down the egg, they get a bash and an abyssal on top of Zayat to force them to type that GG. Tell us we are going to a game 3.
Yeah, Ravage for good measure. Some additional kills for Epileptic Kid. It was not a very easy game for 404 to play this one. In the last game, at least, they did have this Puck and Sven to sort of be able to kill heroes, but here they're completely lacking in physical damage. Also quite heavily lacking in lockdown. 4 heroes with pretty practically no disable, and then, you know, the remnant from the Void Spirit. Their draft just had, I think there are quite a few holes in this one. Maybe a bit too heavy of an investment into the magic damage, and also kind of just lacking in those disables.
That's a fair point, right? Like imagine this draft if it has something like a Sven or a Faceless Void, like something that is going to dish out a crap ton of damage, because the way specs usually kind of go about these games is you scale to a point where you're unkillable and then you poke away at your opponents. And it almost feels like that was impossible, especially because of DM's build that we kept mentioning throughout this game. I feel like his was the most highlightable. He ensured that everyone else on the team could be as greedy as they chose because he was going to make sure that they always had health to play with.
Yeah, and not a single core kill on any of the VP heroes, any of their cores.
No.
So 404 kind of back to the drawing board after this one, I would say. You know, you won that first game with good play, but this one was maybe too tough.
No, I think the interesting part for me is going to be to see if Just Era adjust their draft to focus more on like winning the lanes with their support combos, or if they're going to continue this kind of post laning, more greedy approach to their supports. But that's theory crafting, right? Like that's going to come soon. What we're going to do now is we'll hit a short break, then we'll return for draft game number 3 between Just Era and First Pro.
EGB, your esports betting world. The only place to find the widest choice of popular games and matches to win real money. Choose your bet on a single event or express of several matches with dizzy odds. Serving the market for 7 years with over 800,000 users. Join now to get your bonus for the first deposit up to $600. EGB, you know for sure who's gonna win.
Ladies and gentlemen, game number 3. I almost said game number 4. I don't know where that came from. It's a best of 3 series. We're going into that game 3 decider. It's only the first series of the day. We got plenty of warm up to come. A less exciting game 2. That was all VP all day. We really thought it was going to go the other way for Just Error, but once we looked at those drafts a little more closely as that game got started, I think we all kind of realized, like, how do they kill these guys on the side of VP?
Yeah.
There we go.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna, echo what Zyori said. It's that ability to own the map and those early objectives really came into play for VP. I think we obviously, when you look at Juggernaut and it's like, oh, look at the counters coming into play. It doesn't matter if there's counters if your team can't make any aggressive moves.
Yeah.
The kill score, 5 for 28, Just Error. They spent the entire game split pushing, trying to keep themselves in the game so that Spectre could be the boss core. That never came into effect.
I mean, even if they played that game for like another 20 minutes, I still don't think a threat from a single core Spectre would matter in that case. It's just that I had a really bad read on the game. In my defense, I did not have enough time. Like, I realized it like 2-3 minutes into the game. I was like, shit, man, they can't do anything. Like, how are they going to kill these guys? Like I said, Tide is a good pick, but a lot of saves. It didn't happen. Like, I mean, you can just say one guy, and what then? Like, what do you do after you like disrupt them? You use Winter Wyvern's heal. Like, what are you gonna do after that? Like, nothing. That guy is just gonna die after that because their team fight is so much stronger. Like, there was no way that they're gonna fight. And the itemization coming out from Tidehunter, he gets the mech, he gets the hood. He doesn't care. Like, there's no way they're gonna kill him with the heroes that they have. The damage that they have is pretty much static. That's why I wanted to, maybe put Void Spirit on the mid lane and have a different offlaner. Still don't think it would have mattered considering how this game was developing. Yeah. And even in this case, Pugna was playing the mid lane, but I felt like more he's playing, the offlaner, and no one is playing off mid lane from the off lane, just getting the items, getting an Aghanim Scepter, had Desolator queued up, but all they could do and all they did was pretty much just try to stall the game and waiting for something miraculous to happen.
Well, it was also hard, too, because Virtus Pro had a fair amount of sustain. They drafted really tanky cores, but then you've got that Phoenix heal. You've got that Juggernaut healing ward. You've got the Enchant with some Nature's Intendants. It was hard for Just Error to ever, pick somebody off, right?
No, yeah, exactly that. And I think you have to look towards the support duo on Just Error between game 1 and 2. In theory, exact same concept, right? Double save. But the difference was you've replaced Omni Knight with this Wyvern. And sure, with the Wyvern, you have to keep the game going, but you're not really happy to enter these early fights, especially when all you are is kind of this cursed target unit, right? You're going to maybe lay down that curse, stop the egg. And in that first game, when Solo was playing that Omni Knight, he had Greaves, he had Vlads, he was really in the fights as well. And I think that's the key difference. Their ability to access early fights never really came into effect, especially when you have a Pugna mid. You want someone to play around. And when you've got the Void Spirit, the SD, and the Wyvern, these aren't heroes that will happily move to an objective and start fighting up into a Tide, a Phoenix. It's very difficult. So great adjustment from VP in that second game to pick apart Error.
Excited to see how the drafts vary coming into game 3, because we've seen 2 sort of similar games. Game 1, I feel like, was a similar formula to this, except Just Error had the tools to actually bring it back once the scale started to shift a little bit. This one harder, but if Just Error were ever going to have a chance, it certainly wasn't going to be in the early game with this draft, right? It's kind of what I'm getting at, I suppose.
Yeah, pretty much. It was about their entry into those bigger fights. And even when they're the Aegis, right, you think about that bottom play. They had some type of fight to take, but the positioning from VP, drawing Error deep behind that tier 2, even into that tier 3 area just for the curse, that was the one window where maybe you could see Error win that fight and suddenly pressure that high ground area, or even the tier 2. But again, just the simplicity of VP's lineup, it came into effect. And I think it really did show how right now Error need to find a way to deal with, if they don't have the Omni Knight, this innate big save, what is their play here? Because the double save strat they tried doing in game 2, it did not work. They had no map presence, no map movement, no even fight presence. It was just a drawn out game. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, they drafted themselves a draft with 5 heroes that I think in the end they realized, and the biggest turnaround was the first team fight where they just got team wiped. Like they don't deal damage. That's it. I think they realized, man, we're screwed. We cannot play this game. We're just going to keep trying. But maybe they even started to think about what they're going to do in game number 3, because that one, just as an experienced Dota player, as all these players are pretty much, you tend to see the pattern, like where you're going to give your best, but, deep down inside, pretty much that you messed up, and there's like 1% chance you're going to win that game.
I mean, how often do we see pro matches like this where the winning team doesn't concede a single death on any of their 3 cores? They only died 5 times that whole game, 3 deaths on Phoenix, 2 deaths on Enchantress. I mean, that's not that, if GPK died 1 time, that game would have been markedly different or anything, but even just from a morale perspective, that's pretty rough to see and relatively rare. Great execution from VP.
They are fighting for their organization life, right? I'm sure if VP lose, they just get kicked again and suddenly the old VP's back. Like this is not just a best of 3. This is funding, salary, boot camp. Everything's on the line right now. Solo, he's fighting for his old org, and he probably really he doesn't care. But yeah, no, it's a very standout game from the 3 cores. Not dying at all. Yeah. PG.
So hopefully we've got that game 3 draft coming up here momentarily. I guess any thoughts about adaptations, either key heroes? Do you think we'll see Magnus banned out? I guess it kind of depends on who has first pick to really gauge that.
I mean, Magnus is not not seen as an official mid laner anymore, I would say, but sometimes teams tend to run a Mad Meg. Like I think it was good in this particular situation, but 4-4, they're just gonna ban it out.
I mean, it definitely felt like the Juggernaut was faster in game 2. This was a cool little test where we saw game 1, Juggernaut has to buy the Battle Fury. It's a little too slow. He's like 1 item behind. This game, he went Mask of Madness first item, and he was like off to the races. Jug was in every team fight, farming like a madman. I see why they don't like that Magnus, but Omni Knight and Lifestealer, the 2 removed from Virtus Pro.
Interesting. This will be, I think right now for Era, they're deciding between Void and Lina, because these were like the staple bans for them, and they go for the Lina actually. Now the great question, will VP just first pick the Void, for example? Do they value it that highly?
Without the Magnus, yeah, because that was the combo we really saw, and okay.
I mean, there's still a couple of good combos you can run with Faceless Void. They picked something else. Maybe even, not necessarily go for Invoker straight away, but there's always that threat. If you don't pick it in the first phase, you need to ban it out in the second one. Just spend the ban, because I want to see some save. Like for just Era right now, I think getting a hero like a Shadow Demon or Wyvern is more than fine.
Why not an Oracle? Let's see the solo Oracle. Just bring it back. Let's have a cheeky.
That could be okay.
Strong save. You're not a fan, Lacoste?
I'm a bigger fan of the other 2.
That's
just
fair.
lower cooldown. That you can use it multiple times. Okay, Beastmaster.
Vision game against Chrono. That's pretty good.
It's the go-to counter in terms of like Void players hate playing up Beastmaster number 1, then it's like Slardar number 2, and then it's just anything that can push is 3 and 4. Encha's the response again. Okay.
Chen.
So kind of like a very expected opening in regards to like, you expect VP to go for the Void. They have that beast response, and then like VP are aware that might come into play, and then you get Ench Chen, right? So like very reactionary picks on both fronts, getting through that first phase, and yeah, good either side.
Okay, so what is the plan here? Beastmaster summons a boar, then Enchantress takes it over, then Chen comes and he takes it over, and then you get extra HP, and that's one big Boris,
Okay.
I like to call him Boris. Whenever CIS team plays a Beastmaster, it's not a boar, it's Boris.
That's pretty good. I like that. I might borrow that. Interesting to see VP also ban out that Pugna. Didn't feel super effective in game 2, but still scary enough that they don't want to mess with it here. I guess it is really good against Void, right? That's your anti-chrono solution sometimes.
It's also
great against Enchantress.
Yeah.
True.
Ench hates playing up true. She's like a laner, and then the game, if there's any kind of forward momentum, Ench just feels lost. He can't really do much. So that's why you're most likely going to see these additional push-esque heroes, or at least earlier activated heroes.
Also, lineup from Just Error, they like you have this roar, you have chance heal, but you can still take fights even without those two abilities. And like I think what they want to do is just punish the long cooldown on Faceless Void.
Yeah,
Exactly that. Look at all these bans. Pugna,
Love
Lesh,
it.
Furion. Just don't want to go quick. Don't want to take that tempo.
and on the other side, I like Just Air's bands. All of these really good synergy with the Chrono, Snapfire, obviously, Phoenix we've seen. Elder Titan was another one that came to mind that we've seen a couple times with the Void. Maybe not going to be the choice here, but
That's a good. Thanks for reminding. Actually, ET was like the main reason why OG just got dismantled in that first series for VP. I don't think they're going to enter too quickly with it, but we might be seeing it as that fourth pick potentially. It depends how highly they rate not revealing cores right now, because again, ET would be like a soft kind of cover. You pick right here, bridge the gap, see one more hero, then you pick a core.
Earth Spirit, though, a little team fight now for Just Error to go with this Beastmaster Chen. Nice rotating 4. Beastmaster, pretty stable, right? So you're able to pick a 4 that can move around the map a bit more.
They need some damage inside the Chronosphere, like you mentioned. ET, Invoker, still available. Like, I want to see a hero on a mid lane that, doesn't care too much about Earth Spirit rotations, where you can turn things around. And I think Invoker's that guy, just he dives underneath the tower, you put a Cold Snap or just Tornado, and don't care too much about those kind of rotations.
I would love to see ET here.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
good.
Okay.
As I say, I'd love to see ET here and then VP round up with like a Zeus. That would be like, I've kind of changed my opinion quickly about that ET because I think they need to have control on what their mid lane brings. I think Lacoste talking about that activated hero, sure, 100%. But I think you have to look less about what Earth Spirit can provide in pressure to mid and more about that kind of team play. Once you leave laning phase, like you cover yourself with good vision and you have a weaker mid hero, but then when it comes to like the 15-minute mark, that mid hero, because of good vision, is like insane. So I really want to see Zeus, unless Just Error picks some like perfect Zeus counter, like a Storm here. Like Storm's actually pretty good here too with the Chen. I'm just enjoying this draft.
It's actually pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like this is something that Navi ran multiple times already throughout this tournament, and they have a limited lockdown. Like, there's a Chronosphere, but we've seen how potent that combo is, and with just Chen having a mech, like Chen is the hero that just rushes mech. You don't need any other items, and he's going to be level 6 by 10-minute mark. This is where you want to, break the game for your own team. Like, we want to get the advantage because they just don't have enough damage to kill heroes with the mech. And I love
DP
that.
instead. Low push.
I love that.
Nice.
So
Good
you
team
think it's going to
fight
be
now.
Zeus?
I think you could still Zeus with the new build of the wave clear. I think that's pretty clean.
You definitely can. It feels a
But
little risky, but
it is. But like it's about the idea of this pick is you need your supports to have good lanes to free themselves up to counter rotate when Error also make those same plays, right? When DP pushes mid, you need to cover the DP Chen and Earth Spirit coming mid with like that ET rotation as well, right? If that rotation doesn't come in, you're over. You're done.
Like, if it's other position for, I would say Shadow Fiend, but it would be too squishy. This is a tanky hero that can survive the burst, like rotations from Earth Spirit, and that probably, if it was Zeus Shadow Fiend, let's say for GPK, I think he dies. Like, one roll and one Spirit Siphon, you're dead. So they're just going to go with the safer option. Also, Cleave against the Chen, against the Beastmaster, pretty standard stuff. And with the boat, they have enough sustain, I think, to survive throughout through initial burst of the roar. And, just damage mitigation against the ghosts and everything. Sounds good.
I might be throwing Trent under the bus a little bit here, but I was under the understanding that the Kunkka Death Prophet matchup mid is dog shit for the Kunkka. So much so that Trent told me to stop suggesting that because Kunkka gets bullied in the lane too hard.
Are you going to reverse over him as well, or?
Well, I don't know. I'm torn. I would not have expected the Kunkka here, but I like everything you said, Lacoste. The cleave, all that makes sense, but can he handle this mid matchup versus DP? What is this 1v1 really like? Somebody educate me, please, because I don't know.
I don't think it's that bad of a matchup, of course, it's a melee against range. That Prophet has the sustain coming out from the Spirit Siphon. But, even if things are not going well for you, there's always the small camp that you can you know, farm on the side with the cleave, and like Kanka's pretty much the only hero that can use the X-Mart TP back and just come back with the full HP, full mana. So it's really not gonna be that bad matchup for Kanka, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think the key
I'm
thing
excited
here
to watch
is,
it.
yeah, it's going to be good. I think the key thing here is Kunkka has the skill set to punish the early tower desires of a Death Prophet, and she needs the right heroes to come in. The Kunkka needs the right heroes to come into play. And you might not get that with ET Ench. It's not like that amazing rotation potential where you have like a Tiny or a Clockwork. So I think Kunkka might have difficulties truly defending his tower if Earthspirit and Chen and DP are all pressuring, right? So that's where I think the main concern here is in Kunkka DP. But VP then go for a... I love this Viper pick simply because they ban out Alk and Jug, pick Viper, covering themselves from Spectre. It's just like the 3-hit combo, so they don't have to ban out 2 and give up Jug or Alk, right? They're covering 3 heroes with just the Viper pick. So overall, I'm a big fan of VP's end to the draft.
And it's
a
also
nice damage in the chrono.
Yeah, that defends the towers nicely on top of ET Kunkka. I'm a bit worried about like earlier rotations that they're gonna make on Kunkka for sure. Like you want to make a rotation when DP is 6 with the catapult wave, try to pressure Kunkka, maybe try to zone him out. ET is not the guy that, you know, comes in. He might be level 3, possibly level 4 at the time where he has 2 points in his second ability. So like there's no counterplay. You can't use Stomp. You can't just stop the gang. You might try to get a return kill, but that's pretty much it. You can't stop what's already rolling for just error.
30 seconds of reserve time left.
I'm trying to work out like the carry here for Ramses, and it's like when you see this type of lineup, you're thinking earlier timing, try and force the objective. You think of like a troll, but then like the laning might not be too good. Then okay,
Drow.
Okay, that's a good.
I always forget about the Drow. I like every time
because you're thinking about melee heroes.
Like I'm thinking of the ping, you know.
Ramsey should be able to handle the ping.
What's better, Lacoste? Melee or range? In a really simplified...
I'd go with range. I think Drow Ranger into Faceless Void is a good matchup for Drow Ranger when you have all of these like frontline sustain. They have 4 frontliners pretty much with sustain coming out from Chen, and it's very punishable. You know, Faceless Void, they have that Prophet ulti long cooldown. Same goes for Beastmaster, but even if they don't, like if you just misuse a chrono, this lineup from Just Error is extremely fast and can easily punish that. Also, they don't have the gap closure. Like you have Kunkka, but how's he gonna reach the backlines on a Drow Ranger? That's my concern.
Yeah, I think the key difference here between the time VP had this type of draft against a push style lineup is Error actually have an overwhelming amount of objective presence, and I don't think that damage they have early on will be able to deal with that. And I think as long as Error just play clean Dota, move from objective, reset objective, Roshan, that type of system, I think they should be in a good spot. But then, of course, you always have to factor in ET Void against any type of siege. If they play up the map well enough, then you do run into a big issue where the Void could easily go like Battle Fury Ags, for example, and now suddenly all the creeps and stuff are dead. So yeah, it's all about the stall game now for the VP. And can Error give them that breathing room? I don't know.
All right. Well, an exciting game 3 shaping up here, at least in the drafts. Reminder, folks, if you're into betting, EGB making this event possible. They've got a banner below the stream. Check it out as this game gets started. But for now, we're throwing it over to our casters, KP and PyCat. Once again, gentlemen, it's all you.
Wow, I'd say it's all CIS right now. You know, we got VP versus 404 coming down to a best of one, essentially, in this situation, PyCat. A big switch up from 404, this time around seeming to choose to focus more heavily on their laning phase.
Yeah, not just the laning phase, but also playing a very quick lineup, as Ramses is going to be the target here. He is most likely dead, yes. Yeah, going for a much quicker lineup here. First blood goes to Enchantress. Nothing, you know... Not really the hero you want. No, it's not incredibly impactful. Of course, you know, everything counts, but yeah, going with a much more early game centric draft here. They have the Drow Beastmaster Chen push with also the Death Prophet, and you know, just an Earth Spirit to kind of make up for some maybe lack of control. And the VP here, a slightly slower draft. It takes some time for the Void to come online here. depending on how the mid matchup goes, you know, could see GPK be the one who has to make these rotations.
Yeah, and this bot lane should be quite peculiar, right? Because they don't necessarily in the early levels have great lockdown, so it's going to be interesting to see if they'll be able to actually punish this Drow lane at all. Because currently they've still got 3 heroes down.
Yeah, and I think Zayak this game, he might be allowed to make a lot of rotations. It looks like they're just going to start off with the Earth Spirit Drow lane down here. I'm curious to see if Solo is going to make some rotations, or if they're just going to keep this Beast Chen lane. I do think this lane should be quite strong up in the top lane. It should be hard for Enchantress and Void to overpower this lane.
Or it's the creep swap, right? It's like, haha, here's the ball. I've enchanted the ball. Oh, I've persuaded the ball. And in the end, like, the Chen should come out a little bit ahead.
Yeah, and the save, he's going for the pull on the wave. Zayak just trying to make his life a little bit more miserable. They're gonna get it though.
One interesting thing I'm gonna make you do, Pycat, is I'm sticking Zari and Trent on the edge of the ship. You're gonna kick one off because there was some discussion in the panel about the Kunkka versus DP matchup and how favored this is for DP.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's quite a bit of ping on this Death Prophet, and GPK, I think, happens to be sort of a Kunkka specialist. I've seen him play the hero quite a bit, so I think, I don't know, I think it might be, it shouldn't really be that bad for GPK. I think he'll do just fine. If anything, he's just gonna farm. With some levels, you can pressure. I mean, you can pressure the Kunkka a little bit, but at the same time, you know, it's very difficult to pressure this hero. He goes for bottle, he gets this X mark, he can just go back to base and refill his bottle. It's difficult to pressure this guy, I think.
That's true. And then, you know, the Bracer, it's not as strong as it once was, but you get one of those phase boots, you always have the means to just disconnect from what the DP is doing.
Yeah, with that said, you know, the king is the king.
Yeah, I don't think he cares about ping.
No, it doesn't look like it for now.
See if it holds on. Chen, meanwhile, on the top lane, is going to be ran down. Even though they got the ball back in their possession, it just didn't matter. They said, okay, in that case, we'll murder the Chen because he is the level 1 Holy Persuasion.
Yeah, quite impressive that they managed to kill Chen here. Maybe some bashes from the Void. They're gonna go on to no one here.
And 1 bash might just do it. Can they even get it? Come on. Oh, that's 4 attacks. He's owed it. He actually countered the attack in the end. He'll finally get one on the solo. No, he's not gonna. We've all been there, Faceless Void players, where you're like, I think I might have this. Do I dive, hoping for the 3rd bash in a row?
Yeah, he primed those bashes. You know, made sure that they were coming.
Primed is an understatement there. Yeah, if he bashed no one once on that retreat, that is likely going to be a kill. I think the surprising part about the way that Chen kill occurred is how, even though Ench started bot, Illy still managed to get level 2.
And the Ramses might be in trouble here.
Oh, and we'll get him. DM, it's taking a lot of pummeling from Zayats here, and even though we get the kill, the big win is going to be saved as he pummels his face into the suitcase.
Yeah, is it a suitcase or a briefcase?
Oh. Now, in this situation, it's just a giant mace. So it doesn't make sense. Have you ever noticed the animation for this cosmetic makes no sense? Like, he's not swinging a mace, he's just kind of thumping them with it in a weird way.
Yeah, nah, the mace thing is quite strange. But so far, the lane's opening up quite well for VP here. Finding core kills almost in the top lane as well, but finding Ramses in the bottom lane and just Ilias being the one getting off to a good start here.
Stomp coming out to Ramses. They're going to run him down here. They'll die for this as well. The urn online, Ramses is gone, and he just TP back. No TP for about 15-20 seconds when he's up, and they have Salve, so they don't even get punished for this.
Yeah, this is why I was a little bit surprised that the Chen was not helping out in the bottom lane. Of course, the Beastmaster Earthbird might not be the strongest lane against the Enchantress Void, but you are sacrificing your Draw Ranger's game to some extent. There is a Divine Favor being used by the Chen here. Is it the Draw Ranger coming in? Yeah.
switcheroo. They kind of had to. There's no other option, right? Like, you can maybe TP bot Chen, but just try for this matchup because the beast Chen is clearly not giving you the oomph that you were looking for in this top lane.
No, sort of a nifty rotation there. Just allows your MCs to come and play here up top with the Chen. And yeah, I mean, Beastmaster he can port bottom. But both these cores are off to very slow starts here. And no one is in a bit of a precarious position here. Only level 3.
Against a Viper. Not really the type of hero you want to match up against in the first place.
Yeah, and it looks like Sumail is pressuring GPK a little bit here. It's also a bit ahead in terms of levels. Nothing major though.
Yeah, save is here, so it looks like they want to try and make a kill when 6 comes for GPK, as they did go for that early point stomp on the ET. Problem is, Sumail, he's rotating away. The scan does spot this in advance though, along the ward, so it shouldn't really net anything for Sumail. I don't know if you can push the tower. There could be... is there any way that the VP defend this, or the VP commits it?
You could potentially try to do something with the ET, but it looks like he's just going to be too low on resources here after using these spells, and Sumail's just going to be porting mid.
Yep. They actually dove the tower, so Sumail does come in. He gets hit up by the boat, but he's chasing forward. The damage too much. GPK, he never got a clip of the ghost ship. He didn't get the buff, and that means both of them are going down. The exorcism proves worthwhile. And even though they find a return kill in the top lane, Sumail extending that lead now from the mid.
Yeah, and this is sort of the Sumail that you want to see. Both these 2 last games have been very quiet for Sumail. Not really, I mean, the first one was incredibly rough, and the last game was just kind of rough all over for 404. But this game, he's off to a very good start here.
Most definitely. It's the fact that, you know, if you don't get greedy and make that dive as well, Sumail probably doesn't get anything from that rotation. It's just advice from GTK. But now, well, both again and 30. That's the difference here, right? It's like he can go and make another play. Sumail, he's still got to down for 90 seconds now. As I'm talking about that, bot lane actually punished DM.
Yeah, it was a very, I think, smart port by Ramses there. He TP's bottom, goes up through kind of the fog, and they bait the Beastmaster. Viper commits the Viper strike. Beastmaster simply ports out, and the Draw Ranger has now made a successful rotation back to the bottom lane. They get the kill, and Beast is free to run to wherever he wants to.
And that was pre-6, so you know, these kills are going to get easier now. Ramses has the marksmanship online. I guess one worry is it's not the easiest to get on top of the Drow. Not with these supports anywhere inside of VP.
No, I mean you need to get the spirit on top of the Drow, or you need to wait until Kunkka gets some levels, gets this X mark spect.
Now Kunkka does have a DD, so maybe you can try and make a play. They went for an interesting ward in the mid, by the way, under their tier 1 tower. I don't know if this was intended.
It's just kind of deep, so it doesn't get easily dewarded, I think.
And it gives him vision on the high ground, I guess. The boat's coming in now to Sumail. He's siphoning up, and he's going to have enough to live through this. They have to commit the chrono, so they will get him in the end. But Big almost committed to finally close that kill onto Sumail.
Yeah, pretty heavy rotation there. They use 2 ults. But in the end, it's worth it. Sumail is the biggest net worth in the game.
Not only that, there was some aggression coming out from 404. They were diving with the magnetize there. They actually ended up getting punished by DM and save.
And Ramses is queuing up the Midas on the Draw Ranger here. I don't think I've seen this.
No, usually this hero, because a lot of your damage output is around multi-shot a lot of the time, right? So Midas feels a bit finicky because it doesn't amplify the multi-shot. But I guess he feels like he needs to scale much quicker, and they can't necessarily fight too quickly in this game. Meanwhile, Epic Kid, he's going for the Mask of Madness starter. Whether he'll go for a Battle Fury afterwards, or if he'll want to feel more involved is yet to be seen. Does this feel like a good Battle Fury game if that's the way Epic Kid wants to go?
No, I would be very surprised if he goes Battle Fury. I think he needs to come online much quicker. Something like Mask of Madness into BKB, potentially MKB after the BKB. You know, Manta would also make sense. There are 3 silences on the 404 lineup.
That makes sense. So you've got a lot of damage in the Chronos as well, right? ET starts getting levels in the natural order, and you've got that Never Toxin as well, which DM will probably max out next. Speaking of skills, Sumail has thrown out the Exorcism in the bot, so another rotation to secure a tower that usually gets ignored by the midders a lot. He gets rid of that bot tower quickly.
Yeah, just sort of rotating wherever he feels is necessary, and just throwing out the ult.
Big kill in the mid lane as well. DM gets picked off. No one's been chased onto. Vengeance might be had here by the support duo. So run down the Beastmaster. Reinforcements are coming, but they're too late. Sumail won't be able to punish them for that dive.
Yeah, and a lot of these kills so far have gone to Ilias, who is queuing up the Vanguard. Not the most common Enchantress build. Looks like he's just going straight for the Crimson. I mean, being this rich and all, he's got some high hopes here.
I mean, he's a big pimp, but it's not a bad item, right, against the Beastmaster arm and Chen arm. You can kind of see that, but definitely a very different approach to what we're usually seeing in Engine. With all this stacking, he'll definitely get some extra gold in his pocket along the way.
Yeah, there's definitely quite a few camps in that dire jungle. Gonna be very nice for GPK to just go through those. Should put him on par with Sumail, at least.
We'll see what he wants to go for in this type of game as well. I feel like this is maybe a really good Heaven's Halberd game.
Could be, yeah, potentially. I think, BKB is most likely a must at some point, but he could go for some sort of in-between item.
Yeah, the Radiance build feels a little bit dead these days. It's not a bad game if you choose to go that way, but if you've already got your Edge build and the Crimson Guard, you're kind of already offsetting the creep army quite a lot from 404.
Yeah, and this looks like he's just gonna queue up the Urn. However, they already have an Urn on the Viper, my friend.
He's going for a Spirit Vessel. I hope this gets communicated before he starts buying into things. This could get very awkward very quickly.
Yeah, and he's changing his mind now. Looks like it's gonna be the Armlet instead.
A more respectable choice. There is a decent amount of dots to be thrown around by 404 in these fights, especially the Earth Spirit, so it won't be the easiest arc to get.
And this is going to be a very early and quick roll here by 404. Not even committing the Exo. Just with the Beastmasters, the Inner Beast and the Medallion from Chen.
They're going to spot it too late. Yunks it up. ET was almost on time with the Storm. Not anybody would have been able to follow it up. And there you go. This is clearly why Ramsey's got the Midas. And then another glove to face. He just wanted the extra attack. We figured it out.
Yeah, he's just gearing up to farm. You can see he's catching up now despite having this very slow early game, very poor start. He's finding some farm. And it looks like Epic Kid is actually gonna go for a Midas of his own after the Mask of Madness. So.
Okay. Maybe he saw, okay, well, the Drow's got this one, and now that she's got the Aegis as well, like, it's not an easy pick. So if we can't punish someone's Midas, please just join them.
Yeah, and I think it should be okay to do this since there is this Midas on the Draw Ranger, and you just want to, I mean, if you can stall the game, it's most likely a good thing for VP.
Smoke break. Sumail's been found, who throughout the silence will screw off their timing on the X, but Save is there to save the day and end the day for Sumail. He committed the Exorcism as well, which forced out the Chrono, but it's working out from Zayas. It's going to roll in now, dishing out a lot of damage. Solo stays alive. Hand God is good enough, but not with those follow-up bashes. Epic Kid able to run him through Zayas' fan as well. They got rid of the Aegis on the side. Ramsey's tried to join in and completely backfires the 404, and surprising they even wanted to take that fight with the way it began.
Yeah, it feels very strange for them to try to fight right now. The Draw Ranger does not want to fight at all. Sumail committing the Exorcism there, even though he was in such a poor position. Some kind of, I don't know, questionable plays here by 404. Maybe their communication was kind of off, or I don't know, maybe Sumail thought that his teammates were closer.
Well, I mean, this has been a thing that's been highlighted. The communication, mostly Sumail only knows Da and Divide. And the lads do have a tendency to speak in Russian in the early phases, so I wouldn't be surprised. I've heard some interesting stories with talented and experienced teams in the past and language barriers.
Yeah, it could definitely be an issue. And GPK is just gonna go for a fast Shiva's guard here after the armlet, just going for more armor. Of course, the armor very useful against both the Death Prophet and the Drow Ranger.
And all that sustain from 404 is just being negated now at this stage, right? Like the Spirit Siphon, you're going to suffer the Hand of God is going to feel a little underwhelming. Kind of bridging the gap. You know, covers Void's more greedy build, going for that minus into the Manta for his own defensive use as well. And of course, DM is going for that Athos, so they're going to have the lockdown there to try and shut down some 404 heroes. And as we just got a preview, Ramses, if he gets stuck on the spot for more than 2 seconds, he's probably going to die.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of reach here, despite maybe not looking like it initially. There's gonna be now the Athos coming out quite soon. The Kunkka already having maxed out X. Void working his way towards that Time Walk cast range and the Spirit from ET. So not an easy game to position yourself as Drow.
No, they have so much damage as well, right? Like usually people see a Drow like, oh man, look at this ability to pierce armor. ET kind of does that for the whole team, right? Once this natural order is maxed out, the magical damage output at the side of VP is ridiculous. From the extra damage of the bashes, from the Viper. It's going to be a very, very scary mid game for 404.
Yeah, and they sort of want to be the ones pushing the tempo in this one, but right now they're not really in a position to do so.
No, it's more like a game of dodge. With these deep walls from VP, they're always hunting. As you can see, GPK is moving towards the bot lane. And they will be spotted out. And there is vision for 404 here as well, but I don't know if they want to fight this. It might be a little bit too scary to face up against the Kunkka.
Yeah, the Kunkka is quite strong at this point. He's got that plate mail and the armlet already. Not very easy to bring him down.
No, right now you kind of look at VP's cores and you have to wonder, who is an easy takedown? Like FB Kid is always so far back. You mentioned the Kunkka. Viper, almost 2k HP. I think we all learned our mistakes over the years of trying to commit too much onto a Viper.
Yeah, he's also already got the maxed out corrosive skin. So he's ready to tank.
Yeah, he's like, well, I can't really hit creep. FB Kid's doing that no jungle, so I might as well just go on the wave, shove him in safe. Okay, so Sumail, I don't know if he wants to commit X in there. It would be nice if they could get some more tower gold, but I think the worry is if they use any of these big ults, there's going to be a punishment for VP. There might be a punishment either way, as VP have smoked up.
You know, every time you say VP, I always think about I'm always thinking it's the other team.
No one, Ramses. So I know, right? It's like it's become so iconic for so long. This is the Prodigy boys. They got rid of one of their Ps, and they became the very big VP. As I move in, gets hit up the silence. They can't get the chrono down. They need to be careful here. Rolling is going to be there. Promo as well. Trying to heal up Epic. Bo's going to come through to try and save the day. It might be too late though. They've lost him. Void is down. They'll poke from the high ground. Sumail chunking up a lot of damage. He's going to heal up for a little bit with the use to buy some time, but Stomp's going to be the torrent. Perfectly timed to punish him. When ET's buyback, they'll look to the ES's buyback rather. They'll look to move forward. They might not find more than just the ET kill after the Void one though, as it looks like Virtus Pro has got everyone else out and away.
Yeah, and maybe that buyback was a bit too hasty. He wasn't really sure if they were gonna manage to kill that Void. And when they do, they kind of just choose to, you know, let's just pack it up. Let's just get out of here. Yeah, try to go with the chrono for the next fight.
Yeah, and we now see the potential weakness of VP's draft at this point. It really is the Void. Like, even when they commit everything to save him, it's still feasible for 4-4 to bring him down. And that turnaround kill into Sumail that occurred, he's going for the BKB next. And next time, if you do not get the chrono out, that's not going to happen. 4-4 would be able to run you over with the mid still alive.
Yeah, Sumail once again sort of falling a few times here in this sort of early game. Still though up there with the...
Yeah, I was just going to say, it feels like it's almost a requirement, right? Because who else is frontlining? Or who can frontline for this team right now on 4-4 if it's not DP?
No, it's pretty much... I mean, you want the Void Spirit to go in and, you know, ideally Beastmaster jumps on a target, but you definitely take the DP going in there over the Drow Ranger.
Yeah, and the Earth Spirit will be able to do that as the game goes on. He's built into BKB as well. Been seeing a lot more of this. I think it just makes sense for what the hero does, right? Bulk ups down top of targets. And it also means you don't get punished super hard if your rolling boulder doesn't connect. This one will. Easy pick. Pushes him out of the split shot, but it won't matter. They'll still get the kill. Multi-shot wasn't that important. Actually feels like a really spooky game to be an engine, actually.
I didn't even realize just how slow this Draw Ranger here is. He's 335 even with treads.
Now clearly, as we've seen with other heroes, the solution is to build Boots of Travel Pycat.
Yeah, or a Blink Dagger.
Oh. I don't mind the idea of Blink on this hero. necessarily. The Boots of Travel is definitely 100%.
Yeah, it's just pretty difficult to get to blink against this ET and the vessel, the ATOS, etc.
And usually
very
this hero
quick Shivas also by GPK here.
Right, yes, and he's good in that, so we're getting the pure anarchy. It makes sense against this lineup. Like we've seen what happens if they can chain stun Sumail, even with BKB. Of course, the kind of issue there is you have to not be stunned to press it. They have the means to kind of force him in that manner. I think that's the nice thing about the ET, right? Is like you can go for the stomp and they either react with like a BKB or a 4-staff, or then you can like kind of assess whether it's worth going.
Yeah, no, sure. And avoid getting quite close now to his Manta, so he's gonna feel a bit more safe.
Well, he's got it. He's just queued up another ultimate orb to bait us. So that makes me wonder if he's considering a Skadi. Would be a very good game for it. Against the ranged heroes, against the heal that we've been talking about before. This smoke, everything might be against this Drow. Ramses has no escape either. They'll jump in, time dilation. They realize they don't even need the chrono to kill this one. And that's going to be an easy pick into what should be a quick Roche.
Yeah, the Roche also just respawned. It's quite unfortunate timing there. They are going to lose this top tower to the Beast though.
Yeah. But they're going to be okay with that trade, I think. Like it's almost like the Drow's a little bit too predictable. This ward that VP put down definitely is almost immediately paying off. Make sure that there's no any sort of revolt coming out from 404 as they were split across the bottom side of the map. Now they might find another kill. No one. He has been here too long. Safe blink away. There's no way they want to commit a chrono for a Beastmaster kill at this stage. Got me wondering, like, what's the plan now? Like with this Drow, you've got the BKB online. So that's at least something. But how are you gonna save her if she gets chrono still?
No, ideally you don't really want the Drow to be the one getting chronoed in these fights. Yeah, you do have the BKB, and a lot of the damage coming out of DP is magical. There's the ET, the Earth Splitter, but
Ramsey. Okay, there's the chrono. Ideally, you don't want your Drow getting chronoed is the correct response by Cap, but when she's found out Roman alone, that's what's going to happen. ET isn't even going to be brought down. We'll finally get him at the end of this, but it's an overcommitment now from 404, and they need to get out. Atos is going to be there under Sumail. The Bashes, BKB does get forced out with the Exorcism. He has to stand and fight, but Epicid doesn't care. With the Mask of Madness attack speed, he's bashing through him. The Hand of God to try and sustain him. Will barely get him away, and the follow-up one bash will be enough. Nice save by Zayat. Will allow him to get away, but the Torrent does clip onto the Earth Spirit. So he will be punished. This Solo's able to just TP out. Same with Sumail. But Zayat is going to be left behind. And of course, because they got the Drow before that, a worthwhile trade for VP.
yeah, they did have to use the chrono, but like you said, they did get the Drow Ranger, and the Earth Spirit died once again, now without buyback.
And the tower will fall fast against the force of VP. It seems like 404 it's almost like they're trying to allow Drow free space to farm, right? Where they just make plays as 4. But it seems VP have just completely read the book on Drow and understand that's how they want to play, and they're not going to let that be the case. They just keep finding Ramses time and time again alone.
Yeah, like I said, Drow not being a very quick hero once again.
Yep. Got the
He does
BKB
use
at
the
least.
BKB.
But can he turn around now? Mighty shot out into Viper. He's so damn tanky though, and Solo being ran down by the Edge. Moving in, Epi Kid. He's hot on pursuit, looking for more. It's not just Solo that he wants the bigger kill. Time walk in, if they get one bash, that would seal the deal. The vision is good enough to get the X out though. With the turret follow-up, they're gonna lose the Drow for the third time in a row. Each time VP come cool and they keep finding that Ranger.
Yeah, and he's just, you know, he's just alone every time pretty much. It's very difficult for him here to sort of find any place on this map because, well, VP are just running at the Straw Ranger.
And you can't just ball up, right? Like if we compare these two teams in a 5-on-5 engagement, VP's team fight right now is vastly superior. So you have to split the map like this, but the part of the plan that isn't what 404 are agreeing with is that the Drow is the one who tanks the ganks. That's not how that's meant to be happening.
No, ideally, you definitely don't want Drow to be tanking no ganks.
Unless you're
Just
playing
meant
some boss
to
fight Drow.
he's meant to just plink away, you know, at the enemy heroes. And Ilias did manage to finish that Crimson Guard, so even more protection.
That's not a bad timer for an Ench 5. I mean, I don't know if that's like a top timing for Enches in the support role. Probably quite high up there. Moving in, Epi Kid, time dilation. He doesn't have the mana for the chrono. He has got the arcane rune, so if you can find a good target, it's worth using. And they are stacked. If they chase into this choke point, you know he's going to throw it out. They won. 4-4 like, nope. That's basics. Don't run into choke points against ET Void. Unless you want to die.
Radiant's bottom tower is
I guess the real concern now when you look at 404 is if VP keep forcing closer to the base like this, do they have the damage to kill anyone?
Yeah, it's tough to say. 404 they really need to they kind of need to stall the game, but at the same time it doesn't really feel like they're getting any closer to something. They need to wait out this Aegis, I think, and try to take a fight where, you know, you can benefit from the fact that Void doesn't have a VTB. He's gone for this
Gone for the more greedy Scardy build where, you know, he's relying on the fact that counter-attack isn't going to be a problem eventually. So far it's working out, but now the Aegis gone, maybe, just maybe 404 can make it. Should be the smoke. On they go. It's really hard though with this tier 1 still standing, because now you have to somehow sneak in an unpredictable fashion, and that extra time going around the towers might make it too obvious.
Radiant are scanning.
and it's also VP still have their mid tower alive, even though it's a Kunkka versus Death Prophet.
That's what I'm saying. So they can't. Usually in this situation, you smoke and you run past where the tower is, right? It's, those extra seconds make it obvious. Instead, it's going to be VP that strike. Strand as Ayats. They'll try and back away, but it's just too much damage. They'll find Sol as well. Chrono's going to go down. They did find Drow Ranger. They're trying to heal her up with a hand of God, but it's not good enough. Yules buys enough time for her to start running away. But she might still be there. Gus to push them back. BKB from Ramses trying to run this one off. But they're hunting forward. They find the kill onto the Chen finally. The buyback out from the F Spirit. And the Crime Roar's going to be there. Faces Void the target. They need to connect with the roll, but no! The turret storms all around the fight. Stops the rolling attempt and wipes the entirety of 404. GG immediately gets called by 404. They know it's over. And Verspro, what a way to decisively decide the final game of this series.
Yeah, Epic Kid there, he survives with just about 20 HP. And yeah, I mean, 404, they got kind of demolished. They just got ran over by this draft here. They found Ramses way too many times. The Kunkka, he did a great job. He went for this very tanky build just to sustain against all the physical damage. And they just kept finding these pickoffs. And there's just not much for 404 to do. I think they got caught off guard way too many times. Didn't really look as kind of much of a team, you know, as maybe you see VP play as. They still
No.
seem a bit kind of new to playing with each other.
Yeah, that's the thing. Virtus Pro, they have been together at its core, these type players, for a little bit longer. You know, Epikid, DM, and Save, and maybe that does come into the factor. But at the same time, we look at the other side. It's Zayat, No One, Solo, and
They
then, of
played
course,
together.
Ramses.
No, for sure. It's just you bring in this guy who doesn't speak the language. It's also no one switching role. It's just the dynamic in the team. They still need some time to figure it out.
Exactly. And I just love what we saw at Virtus Pro. It's that kind of dotes that you're used to seeing, the good old-fashioned CIS aggression. That was the thing. They never gave Just Era a chance to regroup. And that does mean that we have our victors here in this series. VP, they take it 2-1. We're going to throw it back to the panel where they're going to break this one down and hopefully have a pretty special interview for you.
Interviews. I can't wait to see who we interview. That's going to be an exciting one. Congratulations to Virtus Pro, a series well fought. They fell in game 1, but they brought it back with 2 very convincing games. Game 2 especially, and here in game 3, it kind of felt like that Drow Ranger never really had a chance to get off the ground, boys.
Oh yeah, she had a rough time, and I don't know if anyone else noticed, but that's first thing that I did is Drow Ranger with the Hand of Midas. I don't remember last time I've seen this item being picked up by the hero. I feel like you're missing on quite a lot on momentum thing, where like they got the first stages. Like you want to be snowballing from that. Midas is not that item. Like if you compare like Midas to Dragonlance, like how much damage you get, how much tankiness, like the attack range, something that could change things quite a lot in those team fights. But I gotta say, not a big fan. And Ramses, he was really out of position. He got caught so many times in that game.
Yeah. Sorry, T-Gov. We'll give you a chance to talk afterwards, but I think we've got our interview set up, and Save is with us. Save, can you hear us?
Yeah. Hello.
All right. Hello. You sound great. Thanks for joining us here. Congratulations on the big win. How you feeling after those 2 very convincing wins?
Feeling good. Like one previous VP roster.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of a grudge match there. You guys have started really strong in this group stage, undefeated so far. Now, I'm sorry, you lost here, but undefeated in series. So a great start. Lacoste, T-Gov, do we have any questions for Save here on Virtus Pro?
Yeah, how are you guys so good, considering the fact that everyone's like 18, 19, 20 years old? Like, what's the secret?
I mean, we're all experienced players. Like we all already played on LANs. Like, so we're kind of experienced players in CIS. So.
Okay, if you had to give like any advice to like new up and coming players that are really young as you guys are, like what would be your advice for them? Like, how would you guide them?
I don't know. You just should think about how to play Dota, how to like. I don't know. Honestly.
But just be good at Dota, okay?
Just be good. Just be better.
You should watch. You should watch a lot of replays and think about the way how Dota works. If you like get the way how Dota works, you like start practicing, and if you get a good team, you can start winning. Yeah.
I guess maybe to follow up, you're one of the players that's broken 10K MMR. You did that a while ago now, back in June. Do you feel like pubs really help relative to competitive play, or is it just a totally different type of practice?
Yeah, I mean, pubs gives a lot, I think. In our team, we all play a lot of pubs, because we also have a rule on our bootcamp to play 8 pubs at least per day. So...
Ooh, that's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah,
so what about balance? How do you guys balance that out with like burnout and making sure you have enough rest time?
I mean, everybody in our team is really wants to become better and play a lot. So everybody is okay with that. Play a lot of pubs. We play like 4 scrims a day, and then 8 pubs. And
wow,
we feel like personal form in Dota gives you a lot if you play a lot and your personal skill is really good.
Wow. Okay, that's some serious work.
Yeah.
T-Gov, any curiosities for you there?
I was just going to ask, do you enjoy like the group stage having kind of that longer format where you have like 1 week on, then you have like 4 days off? Do you enjoy having that separation, or do you prefer a group stage which is over a lot more quick and you get straight to the playoffs? Like, what's your opinion on that type of thing?
I'm okay with both type of formats, but it's first time for me that I play like that long, honestly.
Yep.
I feel like it's okay. You can stay 1 week, watch what other team's gonna pick, how meta is gonna change. So I like it also.
Nice, cool,
awesome. Well, congratulations again. Appreciate you coming on to chat with us. We'll let you get out of here and prepare for the rest of your day, and we're gonna get settled for our next series, man.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we see you again.
Bye.
Okay. So, T-Gov, you didn't get a chance to talk about this game. Before we take a break and start hyping up Viking versus Mud Golems, our next series, any closing remarks here? Game 3, this series at large, just Error versus VP. What do you got, buddy?
Load up the replay guides, watch the smoke gank to kill Ramses at the start of the game, then load up and look at 22 minutes, look at 23 minutes 30, look at 25 minutes 15, and you'll just see Ramses dying a lot. So yeah, it's kind of enjoyable, especially because VP just understood exactly how to locate the Drow and then to kill her. So props to VP for just being very decisive. And once again, that is the smoke gank at the start of the game, 22 minutes, 23:30, and 25:15, around those marks. Thank you.
And Lacoste, I just want to be clear. When I play Drow Ranger later today, I do buy the Midas. I don't buy the Midas. I forget.
Niet. Midas, niet. Very bad item.
No. Midas, 2 hands. Buy 2 Midas, 1 for each.
And just to, refer to what he said about at least 8 pubs a day, right? I heard that correctly.
Yeah.
Like these goddamn...
Plus scrims.
Plus scrims. So all these goddamn boomers, playing in Europe about, we need to take a break. We're getting burned out. If you're a new and up and coming team, I think this is a great mentality. Like you want to play Dota. Like this might sound a bit too much. 8 pubs and scrims. It's probably like 3-4 scrims, but I think he had a good point of how you individually need to be, on top if you want to play for a top tier team. Like you need to play for yourself and you need to play for the team. But I'm a bit surprised that it's that much Dota. It's quite a lot, but you can hear in his voice like we want to be the best. We're a young squad, but we have some experience.
Yeah, but just to quickly clarify, even though they do play maybe 8 pubs a day, when you're in that team environment, they have an objective and why they're playing, right? So just because you queue 12 games of ranked in a day doesn't mean you're suddenly on your way to being a pro, right? You need to have the understanding of why am I playing? Am I practicing this hero, this philosophy, this understanding exactly? So don't just suddenly queue 12 games and think after a week or a year, you're on the road to pro, okay? Understand why you're playing and then good spot.
Learning. It's a quest of learning. They're not playing for fun. They're playing for their job. It's their job. Have some respect, boys and girls. Okay, we're going to take a break. Big matchup next. Viking versus Mud Golems. We're coming back to hype it up. Stick with us. 2 more full series coming up today for Epic League Div 1.
EGB, your esports betting world. The only place to find the widest choice of popular games and matches to win real money. Choose your bet on a single event or express of several matches with dizzy odds. Serving the market for 7 years with over 800,000 users. Join now to get your bonus for the first deposit up to $600. EGB, you know for sure who's gonna win.
Hey, 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 Dota fans! We are back again. More action. Our second series of the day set to start momentarily. We've got Viking GG versus the Mud Golems. We've got the stack that shut down Secret versus the other team that also shut down Secret. The Secret Shutters here battling against each other. A lot of pride for this one. Two teams that I think all of us have enjoyed watching so far in this group stage. And I think maybe one of the more even matchups we might see in these groups. So with that said, T-Gov, welcome back. How hyped are you for this Mud Golem series, bud?
Welcome back, Lacoste, as well.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Lacoste. How you doing over there?
I'm good. Go ahead, T-Gov.
Hi. Yeah, no, I think this is going to be an amazing series because it also just shows how we're not always seeing the same old teams up front, you know, always riding that kind of top banner. And I'm happy to see Fada kind of stick with this team of excellence and how well they've done around Boromir. Great stuff. And of course, Viking, they've been around for more than a year now, and they consistently always get themselves to that position where everyone's going, wow, look at them go. And I'd love to see them get a little bit further than us going wow, and then just consistently just get to that top level because they're so on the cusp of it, so close.
Yeah,
I just had a chat with Bronya, and he told me, like, be humble. I told him, like, I've been praising you quite a lot lately. He says, like, don't do it, be humble. And yeah, so I'm not just going to even talk about him. I'm not going to mention his name. Don't care about the guy because, like, I think everyone just understands how good player he is and what he's doing for the team. But, he forbid me to talk about him, so I'm just going to talk about someone else on that team. I've been pretty impressed the way Mud Golems are, playing as a team. But if I had to pick another guy, I'd still say, like, 33. Been really impressed.
I was expecting to hear the Milan analysis.
Yeah,
I can't talk about
something.
Boromia, so I'm just going to go on my soapbox about how Milan is carrying this team on the floor. But please tell me more about 33 and his Viper play.
Oh yeah, he's probably the only player in the world who, he said it during an interview. I believe these are his words. I enjoy playing Viper. Like, what's wrong with Viper? He's a fun hero.
He like almost
kind of lost
upset
me
when
there,
you
but
insulted, Viper. He was just like, wait, are you saying something negative about my spirit animal? Because I think Viper is fun. What don't you like about it?
Yeah,
Both
I
of
have
you
Viper
had that
tattooed
stun,
on my chest. Like, check it out.
A Viper tattoo. Yeah, that would be something, all right.
Yeah, that would be terrible. Please don't get a Viper tattoo. Actually, no, I'm sure it could actually be pretty good if done correctly, but alas. Yeah. God damn, the series. It's gonna be whew. I think you just have to look towards Viking and really go, they're a team that has basically started from nothing. They haven't got any of these players which were like big standout names, and it's been that constant grind together to get better. And that's why there's so much respect towards this team. And also, as an organization, the things that they do is like just even the small details, like the content, right? Having like a team comms video being released and just hearing how they communicate in some of these engagements. It's so refreshing to see a new, not even new because they've been around for so long, but like just, yeah, you get the point.
Yeah.
So
if
nice.
I gave my team comms when I play pubs, like this channel would probably be banned in less than 30 minutes,
Is that because of you or your teammates?
No, but not because of me. I'm you played with me. I'm a kind of a guy that
nice guy.
Is just chill, nice guy.
He's
tends to lose the temper from time to time, but nothing too serious.
Lacoste, if we played together and I picked Drow Ranger and you saw me building that Midas, what would you say? Would you politely say, hey, Zyori, I think maybe you should consider buying a Manta BKB instead of the Midas? Or would there be some pings? Would there be some fighting words there?
No, I'm kind of a guy where, we're talking about what's happening. Like, I think it's much better if you go this because of the XY reason instead of, waiting for you to make a mistake, then pinging it out. Like, that's pretty toxic.
You're a proactive
So I'll give you
guy.
advice before.
Good.
So diplomatic.
That's smart. Well, either way, gents, we've got ourselves a draft here. Slardar Venge banned out by the Golems, and the Wisp Void taken out by Viking GG, and that will hand it over to the Mud Golems for the first pick here. I keep thinking Snapfire. When I see Viking GG, Boromia, we've seen him play that Snapfire a number of times mid and look very good with it. Here's the other big one. It's Lina.
Yeah, we couldn't talk, you did not let us finish, but
you could have predicted that Lina? No way.
Yeah, it's an easy one for, pretty much everyone to predict. We've seen Boromia play it. What do you mean? It's not?
No, I think Zoro was kind of beating down the right track for the idea of Mud Golems, the essence, but you're very much equally as right. I think Lina is the new age entry to a draft, and I think, as you were about to say about Boromia, I think this is the one hero that he really did come and have great performances on. But anyway, as you were saying about this great Boromia Lina, sir.
Look at this diplomatic panelist here, just trying to bridge the gap between the two guys on the end.
There you go. Please.
So how about Bloodseeker? This is something that Viking have gone back for a number of times now. I mean, this is another one of their signature heroes.
Yeah, usually it's paired up when they are playing like this Medusa lineups with the Vengeful Spirit. But when you think about Bloodseeker, he is the utility guy. He is the new age Venomancer where he can get any pretty much item in the game and it's going to feel good. You need a pipe, you need a mech, you need Lotus Orb, whatever. You need anything. Bloodseeker can build that and still got to look good. Like, his presence as, buffing his allies in the early stages of the game is not that big, but when we go like post 30-minute mark, when you can actually use the Blood Rage on your carry, like this is where he starts to, just put so much pressure on the enemy carry, because he has like either Solar Crest, he has like Lotus Orb, and that attack speed for the carry. It's so much extra stuff, extra value coming out from your offlaner.
5 seconds remaining.
I am inclined to agree.
Draft-wise as well, we've got the fact that, of course, we have the first pick Lina, but Viking then instantly going for the Lifestealer, because if you look at both teams, it is one of their more comfort heroes. Viking traditionally like to leave Shad with some of the last picks in the draft, give him a bit more priority, be it the second to last or last pick. And then, of course, Mud Golems, they are one of the few teams that religiously just give Skitter his hero straight away and go, thanks, mate, but this is Milan and Boroni. It's time to really kind of show up in the later portions of the draft. But yeah, that's where Viking, of course, against their opponents need to adapt and kind of just adjust a little bit. And we're seeing that Lifestealer just boom, instantly slapped in as a response to Mud Golems.
Yeah, if this were a few months... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, a few months ago with the PA without Magnus, I'd think, man, this is an early PA pick. This looks pretty punishable. But just based on this group stage, we've seen PA without Mag a number of times, and we've seen what this hero can do under just ordinary circumstances. I don't know if it is actually that punishable. Maybe Viper, right? Like Break is very good against PA, but they take Edge.
Yep. Pretty standard stuff from Viking. They really love Enchantress, dominate the laning stage. Enchantress, she scales as a hero, and that extra heal that she provides in the laning stage, possibly, like, depends on the lane. Like, sometimes you don't even get it, but pure damage, this is where she's really good at. I think banning out Tiny and Earth Spirit coming out from Mud Golems, this could imply that Lina is a mid laner for them, just putting away some pressure from the mid lane with two heroes rotating. She's very squishy, very easily, punishable, and I believe that's their position for Mirana, played by Milan. We call it Milana, great against the Enchantress and the Creep.
Oh, yeah. Right.
They need some kind of setup for Arrow, because it's going to be very hard to land. Like, they still don't have the offlaner.
The last time we saw the Milana, it was very impressive. He had a crazy impact on that hero. So,
it was against Secret, right? I'm trying to look for it now. I think it was against Secret. He just...
A good question.
You know what? Doesn't matter. It was against Nigma. My bad. It was against the Wheat. The Ursa game? I think, what a game, actually. But yeah, in regards to Viking, they've got this, the Ench, and when you were mentioning about the Tiny and the Earth Spirit bans, I think also you could look towards just the simple laning partner with the Bloodseeker, right? They're very good in that rotation to mid, but also just the fact that it gives Bloodseeker this free entry into the lane. And it's right now they're deciding what their position 4 is, just to free up that last pick for Boom, just to give him that perfect game. I think
is Tusk a possibility here? I mean, what cores are we like?
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly Rubik. I think you want to have, like, Tusk is also a good pick, but you want to have some kind of a stun that you can, keep them inside the blood right during the laning stage. And sounds like a decent Rubik game, like
Snowball,
stealing arrow,
shards?
LSA.
Okay. Oh.
Okay.
So they're valuing position 4 really highly in this game, because they just pick up Boom's hero right now. And
they can swap things around. They can have Dragonite as the off lane. They can have Bloodseeker played as position 4, possibly. Like, it's doable.
Oh, sure. I'm down for creativity. I think everyone agrees that this meta is getting to kind of the end of its days. So if Viking want to whip that out, then let's go. But yeah, I think, interesting stuff. They kept that flex open for sure if they want to go down that route. But realistically, I think this is just going to be a position 4 at the end of their draft from Viking. That just makes the most sense. And for Mud Golems, we've already mentioned, they need someone to pair with the Mirana, but also be a fight starter, someone who can walk up front, because Viking is very simple for them, right? They have DK, Bloodseeker, and Lifesteal. All 3 will happily walk into an engagement.
This a Viper game? You got DK with a passive, you got Bloodseeker with a passive, and Lifestealer with a passive. Thirst, Feast, and Dragon's Blood.
And Enchantress with a passive.
And Enchantress, that's true. But as you guys are saying, they really need stuns, and if you pick Viper here, it's like, well, that doesn't combo with Arrow.
The thing, if they get Viper, it's gonna be very hard for them to, just engage into a team fight. Like, how do you start this fight? Like, you just shoot random Arrow? Okay, that's much better.
Viper buys Atos. That's my answer. But yeah, I like Tidehunter. Ravage, probably a better way to start the fights.
Yeah. Much easier to play around as well, because it means those early engagements where Viking want to move to a tower, there is this lack of damage coming out because DK can poke the tower, Bloodseeker can be annoying, but there's not that explosive damage. So Tide can move from objective to objective and just position himself defensively.
And now it even sounds like a better Ruby game that they banned it against the Tide Hunter. Surprised that Viking did not go for it like straight away instead of a Dragonite and just, get a different type of a mid laner.
Like the reason why they didn't do that though is because it's like potentially abusable, right? Like you pick up a Rubik and then you don't have this melee guy running in first. You can then ban out the DK and then you look at Boom's hero point. It's like, okay, what's our guy who can start a fight for us? And it does get whittled down a little bit. So in terms of draft, I can see very much why they opened up their draft to activate the position 4 role. And for Mud Golems right now, they're going, okay, well, we need to pick up position 5. They've done this quite a lot. Wow, that's a lot of tags appearing. And they've done this a lot where they actually let Fada have the last pick in the draft. And this easily could be an essence of Nigma where they flex the laner to position 5, let's say. But I don't want to see that. I want to see Fada on one of his staple position 5s to win that lane and to truly pressure in.
Getting limited on position 4s here, though.
There's not many left, mate.
10 seconds remaining.
I'm still standing pretty high on Tusk right now just because I don't see too many others.
The issue with that, though, is simply you enjoy 3 minutes of the game, then PA gets levels and you don't enjoy that part. And then when you're running into the Ravage, you're like, I'm now just a blink save with a snowball. I'm not really like the aggressor.
Lacoste, would you care to disagree?
I'm a big fan of Tusk. I think everyone already noticed.
But not the pick.
It's good. Like, it's a good laner. Allows you to get the Roche. You have this True Strike against the PA and BKB piercing ability, which is always going to be good.
Well, I guess see the Spirit Breaker. No.
We should think about Mud Golems first, since they need to round out their draft. And this is a big pick, either a mid laner or some sort of a support. I guess Lina is that flexible one right now.
Yeah, exactly. They're currently flexing that Lina a little bit. And they go for the Undying.
Nice position 5 there. So looking pretty straightforward for Mud Golems. Who's playing what? Now for Viking.
I think the Viking, Bloodseeker fares pretty well. It's like not too badly against the Undying, especially if you have the correct range behind you.
What about Clockwork?
Yeah, Clockwork is...
I mean, you got PA, Mirana, both of them have a way to get out of cogs, but he's not even really a 4 that much anymore. It's been a lot of the 5 Clockwork.
My issue with the Clockwork is it simply can have a difficult game into PA, Mirana, Undying. Like, these heroes are hard to kill. But then you can always kill the Lina, right? So there is that kind of... You've got one hero to target. I don't mind that. I just want to see a melee hero that can start a fight. That's what I want to see.
If they pick Pudge here, I will pay you $50.
I thought you were going to say like $50,000.
$50,000. All right, deal.
Dude, if they pick Pudge, I'll just like no one wants to see it, but it'll be done.
Breaker before that. I mean, like Bounty Hunter's another one that like we haven't talked about at all, but like he kind of pops into my brain.
They need a fight starter. They need someone who wants to enter the fight.
I'm not hearing a lot of suggestions here, T-Gov. That's my beef with all the bullshit you're saying right now.
Because like right now, I'm giving you the philosophy.
Doom.
They go for a Doom.
Okay, so
it's still flexible. You know, they can flex Doom, play it as 4. Let's see, Boom is Dragonite, so that's a mid Dragonite. Toby Bloodseeker for Doom.
Okay. I would have never suggested Doom. So to clear that up.
Same. No, I don't even think of him in that role anymore. So
because they needed a hero that, you know, just deals with the Tidehunter. None of the heroes would be able to, you know, just stun lock him. Rupture is okay, but he's just going to stand his ground and use Anchor Smash. Like, you can't really do anything to him. So they needed anyone who can deal with Tidehunter, and that's Doom. It's pretty simple thinking coming out from Viking.
Yeah, it's now going to be, like Lacoste already mentioned, the team fights. It's going to be the Blink Doom, connect onto the Tidehunter. If that connection comes through, then try and follow up with that fight afterwards. If you don't get that connection, then obviously the fight can easily become very difficult to deal with. And the lack of lockdown from Viking might become an issue later on, especially when they're looking towards locking down a PA who can be a little bit more elusive. We saw mid one, obviously on OG. He survived a very close engagement, just blinking around the fight the entire time. So yeah, I think Viking, they have a nicer overall draft for the fact they can deal with the Tide. That's the key thing here.
Yeah. And heavy melee against both Undying and Ravage. Sometimes that can get punished a little bit as well. But excited to see what happens in game 1 of this series. Viking GG Mud Golems. It starts now. We're going to send it over to our casters. Nomad1437. We need some help. Where's the hype, gentlemen? Bring the hype, please.
Woo! Yeah, we got the hype right here. All right, just EGB below the screens. Check out the odds, guys. Do not forget about that. The wonderful sponsors of this tournament. But we are going to get into this matchup of Viking versus Mud Golems. These two teams battling it out. I mean, two very excited teams as well. Plenty of, fresh talent on the side of Viking, along with a fresh mix-up of players on the side of Mud Golems, and both in very, very comfortable drafts for each of these teams. Theoben, do you have any preference of who you think is going to be taking this game number 1?
Ooh, you know what? I got to favor Viking, I think, in this game. They got some really tanky strength cores that are very difficult to bring down. Bloodseeker against PA, that's a matchup I really favor for the Bloodseeker early on until the PA hits like Rapier, Satanic. But for now, I'm going to have to go with Vikings, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, it's hard to doubt Mud Golem when we've got Milan playing on Mirana. The Milano, or whatever we've been calling it recently. We've got the Fata Undying as well. I mean, these guys did so much work with this hero in ESL and Germany as well, so I find it very hard to doubt them. But then again, we've also got Viking playing on some super comfort pictures here, and I love this thing they've been doing with the Bloodseeker, combining it with the Lifestealer, just because, Rupture forces them to stay still, and that means that Lifestealer can't be kited as easily. It's just such a nice natural synergy. I do like what they're doing, but I really couldn't call this one. I think it's going to come down pretty heavily to the lanes as well, I think.
Most definitely. Both of these teams are very good when they play from ahead, so we're going to definitely see that. And I think in terms of laning, Bloodseeker is also okay laning against Undying, because he's an agility hero. Won't be too affected by that decay in the lane. And then you're not going to really be able to run in and hit him. You might just get blood righted. Turned on instead. Ooh, Aramis gonna be the one just running around. He was actually planning on going in and eating the range creep, I think, but then Fada figured out his game plan and stopped it dead in his tracks.
Yeah, very heads-up read from Fada there, actually, as he's just like, I know where he's going to be going, grabs himself a brown boot. In fact, they both have brown boots on these, on the POS 5 and the POS 4. Is this normal to see a POS 5 going brown boots?
Yeah, it's normal when you need to chase a brown boots Doom who's going to be running around, right? Because if you don't have boots, then how are you going to be able to smack him in the face? He's going to run away from you and do whatever he wants, or pull creeps. So this is going to make it a lot more difficult for the Doom to just do what he wants.
He's in trouble here. Amaris might be going down. The right click's coming in. In fact, they give the last hit to Skitter as well. Terrible start for Viking up here in the top lane as they lose that Doom.
Yeah, he wanted to go back in the lane. He knew this Undying is faster than him, going to bully him. Did not work out in his favor. I was actually thinking they should put this Enchantress top and the Doom bottom instead, but they decided to just let the Ench play into the Mirana anyway.
Well, yeah, just to dodge out the arrow combination with Enchant, but yeah, Solari decided instead to go for Impetus, so opting to go for that extra damage rather than grabbing a creep, which is going to get killed off by Milan anyway. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, just the laning is a bit awkward because you could have gave both the Ench and the Doob a better lane just by swapping the two supports around.
Well, Vikings sticking to their guns. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, we got Boromir on the Lina versus Boom on his Dragon Knight. Again, heroes these guys are very, very comfortable with. I mean, it really is full comfort across the board, and I'm expecting this to be a pretty boring lane. Maybe we see Boromir pulling ahead in the early levels, but right now, Boromir doing pretty damn well to keep that CS coming through thick and fast.
Very
top lane.
good lane for the Dragon Knight.
Toby in the trees. Fada's going to find him again. Another big kill going the way of Mud Golems up here as they bring down the Bloodseeker.
Well, that's got to feel bad. It's just a 2